All right. So before we get started, let's go ahead and throw the timer up there because I have a very limited time. So we're going to put 3 hours on the clock right now. So the first story we're going to get into is Akaash Singh has now decided to leave the Flagrant Podcast with Andrew Schultz. And this is coming off of a lot of pressure from his wife, Jasleen. I'm sure that a lot of the PR surrounding them has not been positive. I know she's been getting a lot of criticism from the podcast audience, as well as just endless comments on all of the Flagrant videos that have been posted on YouTube. People have just been, asking, where's Akaash? Why is he ducking and stuff? And now Andrew Schultz and the team have finally decided to address the situation. So let's go to it right now.
So we just wanted to, clear the air. Akaash hasn't been on the pod for a while. We thought it was time that we, talk to you guys about it. Mm-hmm. Thoughts, boys?
It's bittersweet because this is my brother. I love him. I was here day one of this podcast, and it's like, all right, we were started together and together. Bad boys for life.
Yeah.
Some gay shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. I believe this podcast was bringing in a 6-figure income for Akaash, and now that he's left, his portion is going to get split amongst the three of these guys. I'm pretty sure Andrew Schultz has no problem taking a bigger cut now. So it's only up for these guys.
But yeah, man, I'm proud of him. I'm just so fucking proud. Like being at Radio City and just seeing
crazy.
Just everybody was animated. Like they loved it. Like,
yeah,
I'm just proud of him. And I think back to when we surprised him when I came home from Sweden.
Oh, yeah, his reaction was incredible.
His reaction, like, he didn't even care. The cameras are there, jumped up, gave me the biggest fucking bear hug. I didn't know he was that strong.
Yeah, for those of you guys, maybe your newer listeners, Alex got locked up when we were on tour in Sweden, and we didn't tell Akaash that he got out.
Yeah.
And then there's an earlier episode where he just bursts in the room, and Akaash sees him for the first time, thinking he was in jail the whole time, and Akaash just goes crazy, and it was just pure love. It was beautiful.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I love you, brother, but, we'll see each other, so it's all good.
Yeah.
You would think that Akaash would have taken the time to at least address the fans that he had left on the Flagrant Podcast, to actually give a goodbye message, but I guess he just didn't feel like the podcast was worth it. Maybe Jasleen got in his head and told him, that, you just need to leave this behind. You don't need that podcast. Just focus on, the stand-up and stuff. But I don't know, man. I think a lot of people didn't know who Akaash Singh was until they found this podcast. So I don't know, man. I think more revenue streams is better than just, one, but ultimately it's his decision on what he wants to do.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's cool to see all the venues he's selling out and everything that he's doing. I remember even when I very first came to New York, riding in an Uber with him, and he was talking about this exact thing. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, man, the pod's cooking, but I want to be that guy. And then now he's doing all the stuff that he said. Yeah. And it's just really exciting. As a comic, I think we can understand. It's yeah, dude, you have an opportunity. I mean, he's going to be an MSG soon.
Go get it.
You know what I mean?
Go get it.
It's cool to see. Yeah. And I remember the very first clip of this pod I ever saw before I was even on it was Premium Pete.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that clip? It's back in Engine Room, and he's trying to describe the length of his penis. And he holds up a remote.
Yeah, he goes, somebody goes, you ever seen a TV remote? And then Akaash goes, you take the batteries out of that. Bro, I'll never forget, and the internet will never let me forget, the moment of Akaash just walking me down a logic thread where about effort.
Oh, effort. Oh, yeah.
And he just knows that I'm about to just eat my fucking own ass. And then, it's just the effort. And then he gets up and does this Indian dance in front of me.
He made me root for the Cowboys, Never. Because now that he's not a Cowboys fan, it makes me happy to see the Cowboys win. You know what I mean? That's all it is.
Yeah, man. Just a lot of fucking memories. Yeah. But listen, go out and support Akaash, man. Go send him some messages. Show him some love, dude.
Yep.
He's the man. He's getting after it, and he's going to continue to crush it.
Yep. Go get a ticket to the show if there's tickets left.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about Akaash, now that he is going to be focusing solely on stand-up, and the majority of his stand-up is crowd work, do you think that he's going to get more people in his audience that are going to be shouting, "Hey, why'd you leave the podcast?" This is just kind of giving the audience more stuff to talk about, more stuff to riff on him about. Why did you let your wife decide your fate? And I don't know. In my opinion, I think he should have at least given a goodbye message, or at least not quit. Like that's a lot of money to be walking away from. But I guess you gotta, he's gotta please his wife. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of wild, But so there's another video we're gonna talk about Akaash here. It's called "The End of Akaash Singh," and this is a video by Jamari. And let's hear his take on this whole situation.
End of 2025 was a comedian named Akaash Singh getting humiliated by his wife.
I saw her from the back, you know what I mean? I saw her
He held her on such a pedestal, man.
from the back first.
For years, Akaash spoke about this woman like she was an angel sent down from heaven to be with him, ridiculing many celebrity relationships throughout the years on his podcast. With the most
He
infamous...
should have never let her go online, man. Never became an influencer, man. Like, he could have completely kept her offline, and he could have completely, kept everything the same in terms of, his, spoiling her and doing all that stuff, completely. We don't need to know about that. Keep that stuff private. And, it just all backfired on him when, she wanted to become an influencer.
This one being Will Smith with the whole Chris Rock slapping saga.
Oh, I didn't know that was Jade. I thought that was Megamind from the Disney cartoons. I did not know.
Yes. Will said that about your girl.
Again, also different.
You're not hitting them?
Also different because our wives aren't celebrities. They don't put themselves out there.
Yeah.
You put themselves out there, I swear I would look at you and be like, yo, and it would be a fight. And I'm not great at fighting with my wife, but it would be a fight where it's like, hey, you also got to understand that comes with this life.
I'm going to defend
exactly
my wife. Yo, stand up for your wife, bro.
In private.
In fact, many of the quotes from this
Damn, he's eating those words now, man. That was such a tumultuous time before everything hit the fan. Yeah.
specific podcast have now aged horrifically for Akaash in the modern day.
We supposed to keep this on the low. You couldn't control and keep it on the low, and I look stupid, and you angry at me?
I'm the one getting embarrassed, and then I call you out on wording, and you get, yeah, that's what I said. No, it's not what you said.
I agree with you guys 100%.
She could be a witch.
And we all know after a long, explosive feud with the Red Pill community, and specifically Fresh and Fit,
the way I look at it is, you watch them you see them evolutionary charts from Neanderthal to Homo sapien.
Yeah.
Y'all are the first motherfucker out of Neanderthal.
a light was shined on various TikToks and podcasts that his wife made that made her look shallow, materialistic, and really just like an egomaniac.
That is actually my number one. They must be generous with their finances from day one.
And as time went on, the clips just kept coming, new things were surfacing.
Oh, this clip too, man. I remember when I first saw this picture on Reddit, it was like, oh man, this is the white boy frat boy house that she was popping her pussy at, man. This is it right here.
And it only got more and more embarrassing for our Indian friend. Now after that entire thing went down last year, the pair have actually both doubled down against their detractors. As Jasleen constantly posts about the hate she receives, which she blames on bots.
If you don't know what the controversy was, a lot of red pill and misogynistic men tried to cancel me because I said I popped my pussy. Big fucking deal. Like, get the fuck over it.
And she also went to get Glaze to know.
But she did redefine on the Flagrant Podcast what popping pussy meant. And it didn't mean the thing that everybody was thinking, according to her. She said that it was just dancing provocatively and stuff. But, I don't know. She also claimed that she didn't understand the definition of words, because when she was talking about making out with a guy and hooking up, her definition of hooking up was completely different than everybody else's, even Webster's dictionary definition of hooking up. So, yes, did she backtrack on some of the things that she said on the Flagrant 2 podcast to kind of, I guess, save Akaash or whatever, to kind of ease up on the tension for him? She did try, but none of us believed it, because we felt like, yeah, she's just saying this because the backlash is so bad, and now she has to course correct.
wind by this clown on his podcast.
Akaash and Jaslene are gonna profit from this, by the way. Like, y'all think that, Akaash really mad, right? Like, that don't change y'all life. Y'all still living in your mom's bedroom, talking about, his life over. Meanwhile, him and Jaslene sitting around, grabbing a check, opening up her, 5th Birkin.
This all while Akaash, on the other hand, had to admit that the hate affected him deeply.
I don't know. I don't feel like things really faze you like.
This was the interview that I saw where the interview was just like, it was good that, you were there to support your wife and stuff, even though, all this backlash was happening and stuff. And he's just like, yeah, I was paying for her for stuff and stuff. I mean, I thanked her by paying for a lot of stuff, buying her a lot of stuff. And she's like, yeah, I'm really glad that none of this really affected you. He's like, no, it did affect me. It affected me very deeply.
So I couldn't gauge if it really hurt.
I was deeply phased.
But what?
Here he would also throw out some threats.
Is it on site or are you evolved at this point?
If we want beef, I'll destroy everything. I'll burn everything down. Where you came on my wife, let's just burn it all down.
So
that would be kind of where we are right now. Him walking away from the podcast, he's willing to just start completely over and just focus on just the stand-up comedy and be a lone wolf again. I don't know if it's smart. I think it's kind of an emotional decision, kind of aided by, her kind of in his ear being like, you don't need these guys. You can completely stand on your own. And I don't think it's a smart decision.
It was clear that the endless abyss of comments and commentary really did a number on our guy.
Really? This useless bitch.
Which is like Punjabi brown meat.
And even till this day, Akaash is still posting very passive-aggressive things. Like when he sold out the Radio City Music Hall just last month, he captioned the post sarcastically saying she ruins his career. Which was obviously a nod at the people talking about the Jaslene files.
He's so still affected by it. He can't let it go. I mean, real success doesn't focus on the negativity. You just keep pushing forward, but it obviously got to him.
At the end of the day, I don't think that anyone felt like he would just die from a career standpoint. But the entire situation just made him kind of the joke of the month on the internet.
It doesn't make sense to me that a comedian can't take a joke about himself. I mean, some of this stuff isn't jokes. Some of this stuff is just kind of like borderline slander, if you will, because we don't obviously know everything about his relationship with Jaslene. We only see what she presents and what he tries to, course correct, whatever. And the most important thing to take away from all of this is that, if you're going to be a comedian that's going to put yourself out there, that's willing to have your wife be a public figure as well, you have to kind of have a thick skin if you're going to be on this internet thing. You got to be able to take the criticism and take all of the hate comments and just kind of, use it in your comedy or completely channel it into something more creative that, you can just ignore it, or if you can just ignore it completely, then I mean, why should you care about what faceless people think about you? It's like, I don't know. I think it was just kind of a tsunami of hate that came towards him and criticism and stuff that he just couldn't handle it. And the fact that it was happening on the Flagrant Podcast, it's just every comment was that. It was, I guess it just got too much for him, but I don't know, man. As a comedian, in my opinion, I think you should be able to have a thick skin about all this.
Either way, after the show at the Radio City Music Hall, people noticed that none of the guys from the Flagrant Podcast appeared to be in attendance. And even if they were, apparently Akaash did not give them the time of day. Not only that, but Akaash would silently remove the show from his social media pages, and he stopped appearing on the podcast altogether for the last couple of months.
This is what you would call a fresh start for Akaash Singh.
And when he spoke in this interview how he was sick of fake friends who talk shit behind his back during this entire nightmare, many people inferred that he was talking about Andrew and his crew.
We're supposed to be really good friends and you're saying stuff or letting stuff slide. And I'm like, you're not a bad person. You just really want the fame. And you might be kind of broken if you've seen the other side of fame and you've experienced it and you still want it. There's probably something wrong with you.
So Akaash basically could never be on a roast, because comedians will, by their nature, they have to be topical. And even if they have close friends, they should be able to riff on their good friends, and their friends should be able to take it and give it right back and not get hurt by it. But I think, his wife just struck a chord with him, and now he's just completely in this vulnerable state where he can't even take someone joking about him or his wife or the situation at large. And I guess he expected his close friends to just kind of like, just kind of stay out of it and not make jokes, not continue, going on with the show and stuff. Andrew Schulz has his other show with Charlemagne the God, The Brilliant Idiots, and they completely went in on the whole situation as a whole, and they didn't hold back at all. And I'm pretty sure Akaash saw that, and he was just like, maybe he felt a little bit betrayed. But man, it just goes back to, you got to have a thick skin, man. You got to understand that they're just trying to entertain. That's all it is, man, at the end of the day.
Ooh. And now we do finally have confirmation that Akaash has officially left the Flagrant Podcast. Alright guys, here we are on the official announcement that Akaash will no longer be on the Flagrant Podcast. It actually is quite ironic that this thumbnail was sitting right here, because that expression, that still shot, is essentially the only reaction we're going to be getting from Akaash at this point. Other than passive-aggressive Instagram post about she ruined his career.
This is going to follow him for the rest of his life, man. Like, this is going to be a core memory for him that he will probably try to block out, maybe go to therapy to just kind of completely let it go. But for right now, it's still fresh.
Saying I sold X amount of tickets, we're going to be just fine. We're not going to get the final radio dispatch call saying, yo, this is Akaash Singh, number 2225, signing off the Flagrant Podcast. We're not going to get anything like that, and to me, I think it's because Akaash either does not fuck with Andrew anymore, or he just really does not like the Flagrant audience who has really been tormenting him for the last couple of months. Because despite not appearing on the show for this entire year, the comment section on literally every episode has been flooded with remarks about Akaash.
We got to address the elephant in the room, no pun intended, okay? As I'm sure you guys are aware, our boy Akaash, he really went through it earlier this year, showed amazing resilience, and...
Debatable. I don't think he showed any resilience whatsoever, man. I mean, he completely broke down, completely ghosted his own podcast. I believe he had a couple stand-up sessions where like the first 15 minutes was just him complaining about all of the backlash he was getting online from all these online haters and stuff. And it wasn't comedy. It was just like it was like a therapy session. So yeah, he was deeply affected by it. I wouldn't say resilient would be a word I would use for Akaash.
Selling out Radio City recently, setting records in Toronto, just crushing stand-up around the globe, and literally just like living the dreams that he would tell me about at 2 a.m. when we're eating fucking egg sandwiches at Veselka.
I mean, you do have to remember that Akaash and Andrew really rose to prominence together in a lot of ways. Like, they have made millions of dollars between themselves. And while he will reminisce here about the good times, to me, I think that Andrew did not have Akaash's best interest throughout this entire nightmare. I really do think it was his idea to have Jasleen on the podcast, which was like pouring gasoline on a already out of control fire.
I would watch the videos and I would die laughing. As a friend who loves him, I would die laughing.
And then obviously on his other podcast, Brilliant Idiots, he was really talking shit behind Akaash's back.
Keep your wife off the internet.
That's what I'm talking about. He had to kind of act a certain way on the Flagrant Podcast because Akaash and Jasleen were both there. But now that they're not in sight, he's just kind of at a relaxing, scene with Charlemagne the God. He can just completely let loose. And yeah, this wasn't really behind his back. This is very public. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure he didn't have a problem putting this out.
And I get, guys, that it's a comedy podcast and it's like, yo, everyone can get these jokes. But I could also see how that could rub someone the wrong way or really pour salt on a wound when pretty much everyone is roasting you.
But the experience has put things in perspective for him. And he has made the decision to focus all of his energy on stand-up. He is going to be stepping away from the pod. It is bittersweet. We wish that he did not want to do that. But at the same time, it's very hard not to root for your friend, literally living his dreams. And if he feels he's got to give everything to that, then that's exactly what he's got to do. And we're going to rock with him. We hope you guys continue to rock with him. Go check out the show. We saw the show, Radio City. It's phenomenal. You guys should absolutely go check it out. AkaashSingh.com. for tickets. So we just wanted to, clear the air. Akaash hasn't been on the pod for a while. We thought it was time that we, talk to you guys about it.
And I do think that for the Flagrant audience, it's almost like their parents sitting them down and finally telling them, like, yes, we are getting a divorce. I know you can tell that things have been fucked up for a while, little Timmy. Daddy's got a mistress over here, and let me just tell you, it's over. I mean, even just thinking about Akaash's viewpoints, I could see how being in the podcast and the political sphere can get a little bit toxic for your mental health. And if really he just feels like a comedian at heart and that's what he wants to pursue fully, and he feels like he can still bring a lot of money in because obviously he's walking away from a fat bag here, I could see the allure to just being done with this shit. But obviously he's given away like a massive platform.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, in terms of longevity, a comedian's lifespan could last very long. You could be like a George Carlin, or, you could be like a Carrot Top, someone who is here and gone. And, as far as Akaash and his, his little thing as far as comedy, it's like, do you think that has more longevity than his podcast? Maybe not, maybe so. Maybe the podcast was holding him back. But still, I think it was a good opportunity for him to kind of, I don't know the best way to really say this, but to supplement his income in between comedy tours, like he was still doing both. And I think that's good. It's good to stay busy, but I think it's funny that, the Flagrant audience was able to do what the Fresh and Fit audience couldn't do, unfortunately. And I think you guys know what I mean by that.
This is bittersweet because this is my brother. I love him. I was here day one of this podcast, and it's like, all right, we were started together, end together. Bad boys for life.
Yeah.
Some gay shit. Yeah.
I don't know. Something about him not being there just feels really weird to me. Like, this almost feels like a eulogy.
I'm just so fucking proud, like, being at Radio City and just seeing,
crazy.
Like, just everybody was animated, like they loved it. Like, I'm just proud of him.
And so, yeah, it is clear by their comments there that they were actually at the Radio City Music Hall show. And I'm guessing that maybe Akaash more or less just snubbed them, because none of these guys posted pictures with him. And all of the various content that Akaash posted around that night, there was not one picture, not one video, not one glimpse of the Flagrant guys. I mean, truly, maybe Akaash expected them to stand 10 toes down with him, and when he felt like they didn't, he's like, you know what, fuck you.
I came home from Sweden.
Oh, yeah, his reaction was incredible.
His reaction, like, he didn't even care the cameras are there, jumped up, gave me the biggest fucking bear hug. I didn't know he was that strong.
Yeah, you would think that he would, like, shout out his guys, at Flagrant, at Radio City Music Hall, But the thing is, man, I guess when you have all of that, animosity building up from, just weeks and months of online hate and backlash, he's just like, look, I just got to completely separate myself. So, I mean, I guess I kind of get it, but still, like, I think he kind of owes them a little bit of a, hey, man, it was a good run, maybe, I don't know. He could have at least done like a call in, maybe like a video chat or something like that to just kind of, close it out and stuff, but I don't know, man. I think him doing it this way, leaving the podcast completely, without kind of going out on a whimper a little bit, it's not, it's probably going to leave things kind of unsaid, and maybe he doesn't care about that.
And obviously everyone has gotten their jokes off at Akaash's expense at this point. But between everyone in this room, I do feel like he's probably the most genuine person. Like, I don't think that he's the type to go around backstabbing people.
I love you, brother, but, we'll see each other, so it's all good.
Yeah,
man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's cool to see all the venues he's selling out and everything that he's doing. I remember even, like, when I very first came to New York, riding in an Uber with him, and he was talking about this exact thing. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, man, like, the pod's cooking, but, like, I want to be that guy. And then now he's doing all the stuff that he said.
Yeah, I mean, something about this just feels so incredibly awkward. It feels almost wrong. I mean, I'm not denying it, guys. If the clips of the wife did not come out, like, if she never tried to have this social media presence, which obviously is, like, quite ironic considering the things that he said about, oh, our wives are not celebrities, they don't have a platform. he would still be cooking on the Flagrant Podcast. So in many ways, she did end this phase of his career. And let's just sift through some of the audience feedback. This guy says, poor Akaash, his lady sunk his battleship. Jasleen, you watching, you did this. Damn, she really messed up his life. This is how me and the boys talk after a funeral. He left the wrong person, hope he grows and comes back. I mean, I don't know, if you honestly felt like the guy was going to leave his wife over this internet backlash, at least in like the immediate sense, like honestly, you're probably too parasocial towards this podcast. You are most likely too terminally online. I don't know, I really just...
and honestly, this is the first woman that Akaash has been with, so, I mean, that is a super strong bond that, you know, and there's a little bit of a permanence to that. Like, if anything, she would leave him, he would never leave her. So, I think that's just gonna have to, it's gonna have to basically run its course. You know, I think if she kind of dials things back and just kind of, you know, doesn't really pursue this influencer angle and just kind of, you know, just be there to support him and stuff, maybe they can get back to a better place, you know, and maybe all of this stuff can wash over, and, you know, the new content that comes out with his stand-up and stuff can just kind of like bury all of this online history controversy that, you know, we all know very well.
I think a lot of things can be true in a situation like this.
Then he gets up and does this like Indian dance in front of me. But listen, go out and support Akaash, man. Go send him some messages. Show him some love, dude.
Yeah.
He's the man. He's getting after it, and he's going to continue to crush it.
Yeah. Go get a ticket to the show if there's tickets left.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. The entire segment just had a really strange vibe to it to me. Y'all let me know down below in the comments what you guys thought about this entire thing. I mean, you know, Jasleen is still posting about her materialistic addiction. And I don't know, maybe to them, that's just what love is. You know, during that interview that
the love language is Louis Vuitton and, you know, any other Prada, whatever brand that she's into and stuff. She just needs to just keep this. I mean, I don't know. I guess there's some girlies out there that, you know, truly support Jasleen and think that, you know, she has the best position possible. You know, she gets to kind of live an easy life. She gets to kind of show and maybe inspire some girls like, hey, you can do it too. You just need to find the right guy and stuff. But honestly, I think that this type of influencer is, I mean, it doesn't cater to men. It just caters to, you know, the girlies that want to have an easier life and stuff. Does she need to, you know, not really go on, have a podcast anymore? I don't even know. Does she still have her podcast? Have they made a new episode? I don't know. And maybe that's done. Maybe that was kind of the compromise. Maybe he said, look, I will leave the Flagrant Podcast, but you got to leave your main character podcast. Let's see. I would like to know. Let's see if she's actually still doing that, if they have a new episode. I don't think she has, though. Main character pod. Let's see. All right, let's check it. So, yeah. So it looks like the last video they did was 5 months ago. So they actually have stopped making episodes. So I'm guessing it's done. Let's see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's pretty much done. So maybe that was the compromise. You know, don't make any more episodes on the main character pod. You know, just kind of crush that, and then I will get off the Flagrant. Which, you know, I don't think that's an even exchange at all, you know. But that is what it is. But, you know, hopefully Akaash can bounce back from this and, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe... get everything that he wants out of this stand up, you know, maybe achieve all of the heights that he's reaching for. And yeah, I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, we're just critiquing each other. We're just making fun of each other. Just maybe trying to have a little laugh. And, you know, as a YouTuber, you got to have a thick skin. As a comedian, it's the same thing. So yeah, that's it for Akaash. Let's move on to the next story. Abba and Preach. Well, not Abba and Preach, mainly Abba. So what's come out recently is an ex of Abba has accused him, I guess, of getting her pregnant and also not taking care of a baby or something like that. I don't know all the details of this. We're going to go through this right now. We're going to actually cover this woman, Libby, who is a Filipina, I believe. She is going to be, we're going to hear her story first. We're not going to form any opinions yet because we don't believe all women here. That's, we have to hear the whole story. So we're going to hear her story first. And then I believe before we hear Abba's version, we're going to hear Stevie Knight's version because Stevie Knight basically believes all women, and he believed Libby completely and completely ran with his whole narrative. And, because he has his little spotty history with Abba. So he jumped on the opportunity to basically take her side. So I thought that was important to watch. And then after that, we will watch Abba's version of what actually happened. And then after that happens, we're going to watch Myron Gaines. Because Myron has a long-standing feud with Abba. And I'm sure he was just chomping at the bit, foaming at the mouth, if you will, to cover this. Because finally, he has some actual dirt on Abba. So let's start first with Libby Calian. This is part 1, My Pregnancy with Abba.
Hi, my name is Libby, and I was a girlfriend of Abba from Abba and Preach. We were together for 5 months and involved with each other for about 8 months total, but 5 months of that was a serious, committed relationship. I know when someone thinks 5 months, they think, what can really happen in 5 months? But I think most would agree the first 5 months of a relationship can feel very intense and be filled with a lot of love. And that means you can feel the opposite of that intensity if things are not aligning or if things are not compatible. I'm going to be talking about a pregnancy in which Abba ultimately walked away from. And I'm going to be talking about the difficulties and the emotionally harmful interactions I've had with Abba. I want to acknowledge something up front, and that is, I know exactly who I'm speaking about. I know exactly who Abba is. Abba is articulate. He is persuasive, and he is calculated. Abba is the king of receipts. And anyone who really knows Abba would not willingly put themselves in the position I'm putting myself in right now, unless their experience was significant enough to speak on. I'm not here to cause spectacle. This is all informational, and I'll just leave it up for interpretation. I met Abba July of 2025, last year, and it was really fun, and it was really interesting, and it was honestly full of love. 4 months into the relationship, I start to see incompatibilities and inconsistencies that made me question the relationship and started to make me feel doubt. Ironically, as I started to feel those doubts, I found out I was pregnant. I was very nervous, but I knew I wanted to keep the child. I told Abba about the pregnancy, and he was actually very supportive. He was very excited. He always talked about how much he wanted children. And he said he was sure about the pregnancy, and he said that he was always very sure about me. I, however, did not feel sure about Abba. Like I had mentioned, I started to see some core fundamental differences with our values, our lifestyle, and especially how Abba handled things emotionally and how he handled things communicatively. As time goes on, during the pregnancy, I still start to feel even more anxious and more nervous. And I think I start to confuse my anxiousness with being with Abba or moving forward with Abba with my confusion and anxiousness with the pregnancy and if I wanted to continue the pregnancy or not. And terminating the pregnancy was never in the question. It was something I never wanted to do. But as time kept going in the relationship, I still felt like it was pretty rocky. And I talked to Abba and I said, maybe an abortion is something we should do, even if that isn't what I wanted at all. And Abba was not happy with it. Abba was quite disappointed, and he tried to support the decision as much as he could, but you can tell that he was struggling with it a little bit.
Okay, so what I'm getting from this is that she was unsure about the future of their relationship, so the idea of an abortion was on the table for her, even though she was reluctant for it. Abba, being the other party, thinks that, you know, he wants to have a child, but it's ultimately her choice, even though she's reluctant to do it, but she is kind of feeling this way. So the only thing that he can do is try to support her in whatever decision she makes, because, you know, it's, you know, you got to say it with kind of like a heavy heart that, you know, if the woman is not ready to have a baby, or she doesn't feel like the relationship is going to last, you know, it's not fair to bring a child into the world and not have both parents, not have, you know, a solid foundation for a relationship. And it is, I mean, I kind of understand the difficulty in that. And the only thing Abba can really do is just be there to support her decision. So whether it makes him upset or not, you know, he has to ultimately, you know, support her in whatever she decides. So I kind of understand that.
We make our first appointment for the abortion, and Abba visits me to be there for me, and we don't go through with it that day. And when he leaves, I make another appointment, and I cancel that one. And I think in total, I canceled 3 abortion appointments.
So did he know about these other 2 appointments that she went to after he left? Because apparently it sounds like he went there for the first time to support her, and now she went 2 more times. Maybe she may have told him that, or maybe not. That's maybe something we need to find out from Abba.
And I think, you know, maybe I should give it more time and see if my feelings change. And so I set an appointment for after the trip I had planned to Montreal to visit Abba. I visit Abba in Montreal, and we get into our biggest fight. And this was a real turning point for me. And I know it's hard to imagine Abba upset, but he does get there. And not only does he get there, he goes past the point of the threshold of where anger should stop. Abba resorts to name-calling and degrading language, and resorts to ridicule and mocking, and it does teeter on the emotionally and verbal abusive side, and I hate to put a label on it like that, but that is truly what it felt like.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. When you're an online personality who, you know, they do commentary, you know, and they like to clown on people like us. We like to clown people as well. And I get it that sometimes when you're in the real world and you're talking to just normal people that aren't online like that, and you still have that personality of roasting people and calling people out and, you know, just kind of saying it in a very entertaining way, I can see how that can kind of cross the line with some people, because I experience that all the time.
And don't take my word for it. I will be posting examples in this video or the next video. After that trip, I realized that I always wanted to keep the child, and it was the relationship that needed to be looked at. And so I cancel that last appointment, and I call Abba. And I tell him, you know, I'm so sorry for the back and forth, but it was never in my values to terminate the pregnancy. I think I'm anxious about us, and I think it's better if we co-parent. And I was thinking about the kind of environment I would like to raise my child in, and everything like that. So Abba's really upset. And
yeah, that's a horrible deal. It's like, you don't want to be together, but you want to have the baby. You would rather create this unstable situation, you know, for the child. You know, the child needs balance of both the mother and the father, but you would rather split this thing up, give the child this weird, like, scenery that you're with mommy partly and you're then with daddy partly, but you're never, you know, with them together and stuff. It just seems like I don't know. I don't like that women opt for this option rather than just trying to work things out with the person. You know, it's like, why make things more difficult for yourself than to just completely make this choice? You know, it's like, I don't know. And plus, for your future prospects, you know, most men don't want to take on a woman that already has a child. So it's like you are choosing that path over trying to work things out with the father. And I think it's just, you know, women like to make their lives more difficult, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure, you know, Abba would probably want to work things out and not have this situation, which is probably why he was angry.
And we hang up, and he tells me to get the abortion. And he tells me, I don't have anything to say, just get the abortion, and I'll wait for the abortion updates. And I said, I will consider keeping you, I will keep you updated. I will consider what you said over the phone about having the abortion. My values were to ultimately not get it. And he said, just so we're clear, if you change your mind for the 10th time, I will not be involved. And then I kind of snap back a little bit, and I'm like, then don't be. And then he blocks me, and he blocks me for an entire day. And I'm so sorry for the construction in the background. I have to make sure to speak loud. Sorry about that. I said, hey, I need to talk to you about the baby. I'm still blocked. And I tell my cousin to message him to unblock me. And he says, hey, I unblocked you for a second to say, stop contacting me. Regardless of what you choose, I will never decide to keep in contact with you. You're not my responsibility. Now don't reach out to me again. And then if you guys are reading this, I'll mention what's going on here in a minute. But I said, why did you block me after you wanted updates? He says, because I don't want updates. Sorry I wasn't clear, so I'll be clear. I don't want to ever hear from you again. He says, keep it or don't. I don't need updates. If you do this solo, good luck. If you don't keep it, great. And then he blocks me again. And I am so exhausted at this point on how Abba handles conflict and how he resorts to shutting down and avoidance and stonewalling. And especially at a time that is very critical and sensitive.
Okay, well, you did say that you wanted a co-parent, you know, so you did want to still work with him, with the child, but you didn't want to be together. You got to understand that a man would want to work things out and be, you know, still in a relationship if you were to raise a child, because that is probably the healthiest environment to be in. Now, granted, if you guys don't work out as a couple, then you should just have the abortion, you know, and then just be done with it. If you're done with the relationship, you shouldn't bring a child into like an unstable environment, you know, where you're trying to do it all on your own. If this has been like 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 times that she's going back and forth with this decision of what she wants to do, yeah, I can see how that can be a headache for Abba. You know, it's like, can you just make a decision and just be done with it? Like, if you are ping-ponging back and forth with having an abortion, you should just have the abortion, and if you want us to be over, we'll be over, and then you can just move on with your life. Because I can understand that can be very frustrating, and you just want to just be done with this and stuff. But also, if she's like, no, I want to have the baby, I just don't want us to be together, well, then it's like, that's a very difficult situation to work in. It's like, why? I can see how a guy wouldn't want to have to deal with that, you know?
I just want to show you this. So this kind of will show you an example of Abba's volatility a little bit. I think within the span of 4 months of our relationship, I think I was blocked like 100 times. And I typed in the word block in my search history for my messages. And the first time he blocked me was in August 7th, the beginning of August. And I think we met in the middle of July. And this was just 3 weeks after we met. And so then he blocks me again at the end of August, and then a few times in September. And and then October and November and December. And anytime that you see the word blocked on my end, I'm just telling him like, hey, can you unblock me? You still have me blocked from Instagram or something. And that doesn't stop there. I now type in the word blocking, which is different from blocked, but I still have a bunch of where he's like, I'm blocking you here. And I put blocking here because I didn't block him here. I was telling him like, hey, you keep blocking. And yeah, so now I'm blocked and I'm upset. I am 9 weeks pregnant. I'm feeling emotional. I'm hormonal, all these changes. And I don't want to blame it on that specifically because I knew that I was also exhausted from the dynamic.
So she hasn't had the abortion yet? At least at this point of the video, she's 9 weeks pregnant still, or maybe she has had it. I don't know. This is still like, I haven't seen this whole thing yet.
Of Ab and I. And so this is a blemish on my part in all of this, but I pretend to send a screenshot of Abba's message saying that he doesn't want to be a part of this anymore. I pretend to send it to Myron Gaines.
Oh, that was your first mistake. His mortal enemy. I'm pretty sure that because I believe, because I saw a video by Watts TV, shout out to him. He also received a message from Libby, basically asking for advice and stuff. And I guess she not only contacted Watts, but she also contacted Myron as well. And I'm sure Myron was just like, yo, I'll have you on the podcast. That way you can tell your whole story. I'm pretty sure that's how that went down.
And I never do it, and I never did do it. But that was just to like, I was fighting back a little bit. But again, I never did it. And
wait, what? She never followed up with Myron? Hold on, let's go back a little bit.
On my part, in all of this, but I pretend to send a screenshot of Abba's message saying that he doesn't want to be a part of this anymore. I pretend to send it to Myron.
Oh, okay. So she pretended to send it. Why would you do that? Now you're just throwing gasoline on the fire, to not actually do it, but just do it as a vindictive action and stuff. Yeah, I can see why he blocked you.
And I never do it, and I never did do it, but that was just to like, I was fighting back a little bit. But again, I never did it. And I also messaged the Ab and Preach page, and I tell him this. I'm not going to read it, but I'll leave it up here so you guys can view and pause.
All right. So it says, I'm pregnant despite is being in a relationship or not. You said you don't care if I keep the baby or not, and that you won't be a part of it. You told me you'd never walk out on the child if I got pregnant, and you lied. I will keep the baby and raise them myself. Here we go. But because I felt anxious 5 months into the relationship and told you my truth. Here we go with that again, my truth. Oh my God. Because I do care about, hold on. I told you my truth because I do care about your life. ? Me loving you and me also feeling unsettled can both exist. You say this isn't horrible behavior towards me. You're saying I don't like when people put your instead of you are. You are saying this behavior is better than blackmail. I didn't even say I was going to do. I never said I was going to do those things. And you tell me you would stop your friends from doing that because you're not me. I guess she got that correct that time. But you would leave me alone to parent your child alone, saying that's not horrible. If I wanted my friends to expose your horrible text messages to me, wouldn't you think I already would have done that? My friend even said in a message you sent me, Libby would never do it. So I'm guessing that's talking about the abortion. I felt I needed to end the relationship because we were fighting all the time and it wasn't okay. I ended it respectfully and you knew that. You then told me that you don't care if I keep the baby and not, or not, you're not going to be a part of it. Then you block me, and then I tried to reach out to you because there wasn't a decision on the baby. Well, I mean, because you haven't decided yet. Like basically you decided for him. You said that you wanted to end the relationship. So, I mean, it just, I don't know. If someone says they want to be done with the relationship, then it's like, can we just kind of like go our separate ways then? It's like, why have a baby and make that baby's life, hard, And then I try to reach out to you because there wasn't a decision on the baby. And then I show my friends your horrible messages and they stick up for me. Even what you sent me was evil. That's why you're afraid of getting it leaked, which I said I wouldn't do. But even that's telling. And then Abba finally responded back. He says, "Hey, blackmailer, stop reaching out." Jeez.
If you'd like. And he just responds, "Hey, blackmailer, stop reaching out." And Abba gets very upset because now Preach sees these messages and now Preach knows that his girlfriend is pregnant. Now Preach knows Abba's girlfriend is pregnant. And Abba calls me at some point, and this is just another example of how Abba does talk to me when he does get upset. So I don't answer because I'm trying to get something to eat. I'm hungry and I'm like sick. I'm in my first trimester and I don't answer. And he says, "I don't care, bye, blocked. I'm trying to eat. Hey, I was really trying to get something to eat. I haven't eaten." He says, "Parasite, I don't care. Eat, shit, sleep. I want my peace back. I want you gone. So hurry up. You made 9 accounts harassing me and blackmailing." So he's talking about my cousin reaching out and sending him messages. And he calls again and we finally get on a phone call. This is the most brutal phone call. And it does reflect everything that I had mentioned before, that it was verbal and emotionally abusive and contain a lot of dehumanizing language and degrading language. And I actually have the phone call right here, but I cannot play it because Abba can file legal action against me. And in this phone call, he also says, "I will never meet the baby. I will never look at the baby in the face. I will never know its name. And if I do, I will make sure to tell them that their mother was disgusting and horrible." And he says that he will make sure he's never a part of the baby's life. And I know you can't picture Abba saying this, but he does say it. And
I mean, why not play the video then if you're just going to say what he said? It's like he could, I mean, I don't know. In my thought process is like, oh, I don't want to play this because he could sue me, but let me just tell you what he said anyway. I mean, he could still, but anyway, this is what I think. Because, I need to hear the other side before I actually give my full piece on this. Just have the abortion, it's like it's not fair to the child to grow up without a father. If you're doing this where you want to push him away and you don't want to continue a relationship with the father, then that's not fair to the child. It's like, stop being selfish and stop thinking that, I can do this all on my own and stuff like that, and I don't need him and everything. It's like, if you don't need him, then you need to truly not need him. That means if he wants to block you, you need to just kind of whatever. But I think there's always going to be in the back of a woman's head that, no, I want him to come to me. I want him to say sorry. And I want him to step up and take care of his responsibilities and stuff. It's like, well, but you took away his responsibility by ending the relationship, if he wanted to be there, but then you didn't want it because the way that you felt about the relationship, you felt that it was rocky, you felt that you were arguing all the time. It's like, yeah, people argue, but ultimately your decision, this is the thing. I think she said the first thing about abortion. I don't think Abba did. I think she brought that up. And I think that's what caused this whole downward spiral. If she had never planted that seed, or, for lack of a better term, if Abba was able to just be like, look, no matter what, we're going to work it out. I'm going to be here for the baby and stuff like that. I know that we're going to, we have arguments and everything like that, but at the end of the day, you just understand I'm solid. I'm still going to be here and everything. That probably would have been fine. But she probably was so strong on how she felt about the future of the relationship that she didn't want it anymore. Then he's just like, okay, well, if you don't want to be with me, then that's it. I'm not going to force you to do something you don't want to do, But it just complicated things where she wants to keep the baby. It's he's like, you can't do both things, It's like, just have the abortion and be done with the whole relationship.
After that, I never hear from Abba again. 3 days go by, and I am desperate to talk to him. And I contact Preach through Instagram, and Preach doesn't want anything to do with it, which is understandable. And I just kind of leave it alone after that. Week 1 goes by, and I don't hear anything from Abba. Week 2 goes by, I don't hear anything from Abba. And then now we're at week 3. And I know that 3 weeks doesn't seem like a long time, but when you're trying to figure out a situation as critical as this one, and you're so desperate to talk to the father of the baby, 3 weeks felt like a very long time. And week 4 comes up, and I now have to make a decision. And I have to make a decision based off what the reality is. The reality is that Abba completely left me for dead. And Abba walked out on the pregnancy, and he is now absent from this entire thing. And he doesn't want anything to do with the baby, and he doesn't want anything to do with me, and
You didn't want anything to do with him and the relationship. You got to understand that there's a little bit of accountability you got to take here. If you wanted things a certain way, you wanted the relationship to be over, then that should be it. You can't force somebody to fight for you if you don't want them.
Make the hardest decision I ever had to make, and it was a very painful decision, but I ended up having the abortion. And
okay, so we got it. There's your answer. No more Abba Jr., so everything should be okay now, Like, not okay in terms of like their friendship or whatever like that, or whatever. Their relationship is over. This should be done. There should be no more.
I grieved very hard, and I was also grieving the relationship with Abba. I knew that I found all of these incompatibilities, but I did still love him a lot. And I was feeling very lost, and truly some of my darkest days. And I think Abba will never get a hold of me again, and he really doesn't care to reach out, but he does. So a week after the abortion, I hear from him on Instagram. And this is what he says. He says, "For me to plan things, I need clarity on a few things, whether you intend to continue the pregnancy and what level of involvement you foresee from me. I should be clear that I still have no plans to co-parent. I'm not messaging to discuss the relationship or here to argue, just the above." And he is messaging me a lot, and it's because I'm not responding to him. And one thing I realized about Abba is Abba thinks a certain way.
We got to scroll back because of the things that he said here. She's just skipping over, and I think this might be important. So hold on. Let's just go back just a little bit, because we got to give him a fair shot here. So I don't know if you guys can see this. Let's just do it like this. So for me to plan things, I need to clarify a few things, whether you intend to continue the pregnancy and what level of involvement you foresee. For me, I should be clear that I'm still no plans to co-parent. I'm not messaging you to discuss the relationship or here to argue, just the above. Preach just sent me right now what you sent him in our last chat. Let's go forward.
No plans to co-parent. I'm not messaging to discuss the relationship or here to argue, just the above. And he is.
So there was an audio call. She didn't answer. Then he's like, try calling a few times. I want a resolution where we fully part ways as soon as possible. But if you're intent on not giving this and continuing to contact people around me, which, yeah, she should just deal with him directly, getting her cousin to call him or trying to, talk to Preach, whatever, to get to him and stuff. That you just need to deal directly. Let's keep going.
Messaging me.
Why? Oh, hold on. Skip past a little bit here. Right here.
Just the above. And he is.
Why are you messaging people saying you're my partner? And then there's a screenshot here. It says, "Hi, Preach. I'm Abba's girlfriend. I'm sorry to be introduced to you, and under these circumstances, I am seeking help. I know you'll have to let Abba know I reached out to you eventually. If you do, would you please do it after I show you a few things first, if that's possible?" And it looks like she sent him a couple text chats between her and Abba.
Me.
What? So basically, she got the part where I guess Abba's saying, "So how can I get rid of you? You parasite." And then she responds, "I'm gone." And he says, "You sent this 9 times." And then there's a picture covering over that, so I can't really read that.
A lot.
And then Abba comes back. He says, "Day after your behavior hasn't ceased, so what do you want from me? I have no idea how to put an end to this. You don't understand what you're going. You don't understand what you're doing to such great lengths, or going to such great lengths to undermine me, to tell folks bad things. Bad things, and then you want to co-parent." Yeah, so yeah, basically doing 2 things, basically, smearing my name and then also saying that you want to work with me. It's kind of like, gotta have a little bit more respect here. I wish I was capable of the same blackmail tactics, contacting your job, hitting up your people close to you, and other nonsense. I'm not. I can't even, and I don't want to do so. You want money? Do you need an apology? What do you want? What do you want to get your win? But since you're reading unwillingly, but since you keep reading unwillingly to give a simple answer, I'll assume that this is just part of your ploy.
It's because I'm not.
Just know, all of this makes me more certain of why I will ever be involved with anything. I guess he meant to say never be involved with anything related to you. Hopefully not everything about you was a lie and you're a human enough to end this nonsense.
Responding to.
So then I guess he called again. She missed his call. I hope you enjoyed all of this. Okay, you win. This is how, basically he's been talking to himself this whole time. Okay, you win. If this is how you want to handle things, I'll do the same. You wanted to drag me in the mud with harassment, blackmail, and contacting people close to me.
Him.
I'll send you your job. I'll send your job the evidence of your ongoing blackmail campaign. I'll contact the cops in your area and start the police process. Don't forget, this is something you started when all I wanted was to separate from you without conflict.
And
then she wrote back, "I'm not going to engage with this type of communication."
And one thing I realized.
And then he said, "I'm starting the process and calling Kaiser. So what do you want?"
Abba thinks a certain way. Abba also likes things done a certain way. And if things are not followed through in the way that he wants, you will see a reaction from him. And, this is one of those times, like, I'm not responding and he is insulting me, saying I'm doing all these things and I'm not, doing those things. And I'm like, I'm not going to engage with this type of communication, but he does lash out. And I thought about the pregnancy and I thought, Abba never cared about the child. He only cared about, this dream that he had. But that's not really how it works. We both have this responsibility. And I didn't do it the way.
Men process information differently, okay? So you didn't want to continue the relationship. You wanted to have the baby. Abba didn't see the sense in that. he wanted to at least continue the relationship to work things out with the baby, but you didn't want the relationship. So ultimately, yeah, he doesn't want to have anything to do with the baby if he doesn't want anything to do with you. And he thinks that if you want to get the abortion, that, yeah, you should do it. But if you're going to flip flop back and forth and stuff, now you're making the situation different. I mean, it's just like, yeah, I can see how that is just like a lot of difficulty to let into someone's life. And maybe he realizes that, yeah, like I would rather just kind of wipe my hands clean of all this. But because of the type nature where they're not really communicating, one person's talking, the other person's not communicating, he's kind of left in limbo to not know what she did, you know? So if she's already had the abortion at this point and he finally has reached out to her, he still doesn't know that she's had the abortion. So he's still kind of, you know, on the back foot saying like, look, whatever you decide to do, and, you know, she could have just told him like, look, I've already had it. So that would have like solved everything. But because she didn't do that, because she withheld that information, she continued this drama. So
I didn't do it the way he pictured it. And I can understand that also. But, you know, this is so far removed from what he would support on his channel and promote on his channel. And so
okay, so he said, I'm starting the process and calling Kaiser, so what do you want? If you want to ruin my life contacting my people, prepare for the same. I kept records of your blackmail, so enjoy that. She responds back, I have left you alone since I reached out to preach a month ago. And then he responds, no, you haven't.
I said I left you alone since I reached out to preach.
I've been receiving calls still. And then she responds, are you curating this message? I have never called you. And then he responds back, I don't have to. I just asked for one thing. How do we sever?
A month ago, and he's saying like, no, you're like still calling.
And then you still want to play games. I did nothing for a month while you kept doing your criminal behavior, contacting my people. Okay, well, you win.
Me, and I'm still trying to reach him. I said, no, I never called you. I said,
so she responds, I have left you alone since my contact with Preach. That was January 13th. You didn't want anything to do with the baby.
Left you alone since like my last contact with Preach.
I said, okay. And then Abba reaches back, okay, liar. And then I guess he screenshots things. For me to plan things, I needed clarity on a few things, whether you intend to continue the pregnancy and ...
I said, you didn't
answer this.
Want anything to do with the baby.
And then she stonewalls again. I won't engage with this type of communication, Abba. And it's like, it's a simple question, you know, like she could have just stopped it right then and there and said like, look, I've had the abortion, you know, she can even throw it back in his face and be like, look, you know, this is what you wanted. You didn't want anything to do with the baby. Now the baby's not gonna be born. Now we can officially part ways. But will a woman ever just kind of let things go like this? No, she would rather stay in this pocket of like misery and drama and disrespect. For what reason? I don't know. Mental illness.
I said, okay. I said, I'm not going to engage in this kind of communication, Abbas, because he keeps messaging me. And he sends this little okay liar thing. Remember, I said that Abba can act in a way of like mocking and ridicule and a little sometimes immature.
Well, he's brought you a point. He basically wants you to answer this question. You know, he needs to clarify a few things. He needs to know whether you want to continue the pregnancy or not. Be direct. Let him know that you've already had the abortion. That's literally what he's trying to do. And then, hold on. She says, I have no hate in my heart. I have no bitterness. I have left you alone. Well, you're calling for random Americans' numbers, and that's what you wanted. And she responds back, and that's what you wanted. You didn't want anything to do with the baby. Here we go. She's repeating herself now.
Yeah, I said
having your friends do it,
and that's what you wanted.
I guess having your friends call my people, whatever. Basically, you know, trying to sneak back into my life and still try to message me.
You didn't want anything to do with the baby, and to this day, Abba feels extremely justified with leaving the pregnancy. This is one of our last messages. This was about a month ago, and there was a little tension in this conversation, and we were going back and forth.
Okay. She says, you still haven't apologized for abandoning me and our baby. I only apologized. And Abba responds back, it's because it's your fault. You cut me out of the relationship and fatherhood. And then she's like, I have to go now. Okay. And then he says, I have always believed that was your fault. And then she responds back, it was a responsibility that was both of ours. And then he responds back, and it was no. And then she responds back, I need more security from you. And then he responds back, you didn't want the baby. Let's see what she says.
Worth a bit. And I said, you still haven't apologized for abandoning me and our baby. I only apologized. And he said, it's because it's your fault. You cut me out of the relationship and the fatherhood. I'm saying, I have to go now, okay? And
very avoidant. She's very avoidant here. You know, she could have just completely been honest with him and let him know, like, look, I've had the abortion and stuff. I didn't want the relationship. It's on me. You know, it was my decision to end the relationship because I didn't think that, you know, we would work out and stuff. So it only seemed natural. I came to the decision to abort the baby and stuff. So we're good. We're going to go our separate ways. And that would have been it.
I've always believed that it was your fault. I said it was a responsibility that was both of ours. And I said I needed more security from you. And he said that you didn't want the baby. And he's talking about when I was going back and forth from before the Montreal trip. And when I realized, you know, this relationship is probably not sustainable. And this is something I am still healing from. And something I think about often. And I'm still grieving. And I do feel like it was wrong. And I did feel like it was wrong at the time. But after some time passes, I really think that this wasn't the way it should have gone. And
yeah, you probably should have worked it out with him. You know, you probably should have, you know, maybe stuck it out, you know, or if, you know, the way that, you know, you felt about the relationship, you wanted it to end and stuff, then yeah, you should just let it end, tell him that, you know, it's over and stuff like that. And the fact that, yeah, you are pregnant, well, you know, you got to get an abortion, you know, it's like, it's unfortunately, you know, it's not fair to the child. You can't be selfish in these things and try to keep the baby, you're basically handcuffing Abba to have responsibilities and stuff like that. It's like, if you didn't want the relationship, then you shouldn't be having his baby. Those should go hand in hand.
Posting more examples of my interaction with Abba and the dynamic and this repetitive cycle I experienced with him. So yeah, thanks for watching.
Okay, so we are going to now go to the Stevie Knight reaction, because this is very important to watch. He basically took her every word and completely sided with her, whereas, you know, we kind of I didn't do that initially. I kind of used my own experience from, you know, what I've experienced and what I've seen in my life and stuff, as far as how women can use children for leverage and stuff. I think that you kind of have to hear both sides. Now, this video by Stevie Knight was posted the same day that Libby posted her video. This was way before Abba was able to post his video, like his 1 hour live stream, basically answering to all of this stuff and giving his side of the story. So there was literally just one side of the story that Stevie heard, and he completely ran with it. Let's hear how Stevie approaches, just to, like, I mean, because Stevie does have a spotted history with Abba. For those of you that don't know, they had a little bit of a back and forth beef and stuff, and we covered it on the channel and stuff. But so now, yeah, Stevie, he's just looking at this as this is a perfect opportunity to just completely jump down on Abba and you know, use it as more ammunition towards him. So let's hear what Stevie Knight has to say.
I call Abba and I tell him it was never in my values to terminate the pregnancy, and I think it's better if we co-parent. So Abba's really upset, and we hang up, and he tells me to get the abortion. And he tells me, I don't have anything to say, just get the abortion. He says, keep it or don't, I don't need updates.
We've already seen this part, so let's just get to Stevie Knight here.
Definitely did not expect to be talking about this bitch again on my channel, bro. Y'all know.
Now the bitch, I'm sure he's not talking about Libby, he's talking about Abba.
It's well documented that I don't fuck with Abba. But some things are more important, and this is extremely important. Came across this video, man. The title of the video is My Pregnancy with Abba from Abba and Preach. It comes from one Libby Calian, right? And I've seen the video in its entirety, bro. Right. And, you know, it's fucked up. It's very fucked up. It's disgusting. It's evil. Right. And I'm just going to let the video play and let the video speak for itself.
Since we have all of the context of Libby's video, we can now just skip to his reaction now. So let's, let me see.
5 months up. That is emotional. He always talked about how much, and I tell him every day, times in September, but that was just to like
decision on the base, and you tell me.
Okay, here we go.
You told me you never walk out on a child if I got pregnant, and you lied. I will keep the baby and raise them by myself. But because I felt anxious 5 months into the relationship, and I told you my truth. Because I do care about your life. Me loving you and me feeling unsettled can both exist. You say this isn't horrible behavior towards me. You're saying this behavior is better than blackmail. I didn't even said I was going to do. I never said I was going to do those things. And you tell me you would stop your friends from doing that because you're not me. But you would leave me alone to parent your child alone, saying that's not horrible. If I wanted my friends to expose your horrible text messages to me, wouldn't you think I already would have done that? My friend even said in the messages you sent me, Libby would never do it. I felt I needed to end the relationship because we were fighting all the time and it wasn't okay. I ended it respectfully and you knew that. You then told me you don't care if I keep the baby or not. You're not going to be a part of it. And then you blocked me, and then I try to reach you because there wasn't a decision on the baby, and then I show my friends your horrible messages and they stick up for me. Even you know what you sent me was evil. That's why you're afraid of it getting leaked, which I said I wouldn't do. But even that's telling. Hey, blackmailer, stop reaching out.
Tell him this. I'm not going to read it, but I'll leave it up here so you guys can view and pause if you'd like. And he just responds, hey, blackmailer, stop reaching out. And right here, but I cannot play it because talk to him. It's a very dark things, whether you intend to continue the pregnancy and what level.
Okay, here comes
an apology. What do you want to get your?
This is let's get to his actual thoughts on this here.
And bro, the gaslighting is crazy, bro. The gaslighting is crazy. That's diabolical. I'm gonna keep it a bean. I was gonna wait to the end to give my 2 cents on this, bro, but I didn't read the messages in there entirely, bro, and just reading it, I don't understand why you're going to such great lengths to undermine me and tell folks bad things and then want to co-parent. Bro, she doesn't want to kill the baby. To gaslight her, make it seem like she's volunteering to be with a terrible co-parent. No, she just wants to keep the baby.
But why? That's kind of like, why would a person want to put a child in a disadvantaged position like that where the father wants nothing to do with them? It's like, wouldn't you rather bring a child into this world with both parents, you know, with the best start possible? It's like there's so many studies that have shown that, you know, young boys that grow up without their fathers and stuff, and also young girls that grow up without their fathers, they always end up turning to a life of crime or selling their bodies online or stripping or doing drugs or any criminal activities and stuff. They don't have that solid foundation of a father figure in the home. So it's like, why would you put your child through that?
Bro, that's nasty work. But since you keep reading, unwilling to give a simple answer, I'll assume this is all part of your ploy. Just know all of this makes me more certain of why I will ever. Just know all of this makes more conflict, bro. And this girl is pregnant with his baby. That's nasty work. That's nasty work, bro. I'm not going to engage in this type of communication.
On Instagram. And this is what he says. He says, for me to plan things, I need clarity on a few things, whether you intend to continue the pregnancy and what level of involvement you foresee from me. I should be clear that I still have no plans to co-parent. I'm not messaging to discuss the relationship or here to argue, just the above. And he is messaging me a lot, and it's because I'm not responding to him. And one thing I realized about Abba is Abba thinks a certain way. Abba also.
If he's not taking the opportunity to read what Abba said, that's not fair. You know, it's like you got to kind of see what the other party's saying. Otherwise, you're just going to watch her video and just kind of hang on her every word. I understand that Stevie Knight has like a beef with Abba and stuff, so of course he's going to have a little bit of a bias in this whole situation. But if you want to not push a certain narrative and stuff before and look like an idiot, you got to hear both sides.
Likes things done a certain way, and if things are not followed through in the way that he wants, you will see a reaction from him. And this is one of those times, like, I'm not responding and he is insulting me, saying I'm doing all these things and I'm not doing those things. And I'm like, I'm not going to engage with this type of communication, but he does.
These people online are not at all who they portray themselves to be. The majority of them are not. You know what I'm saying? And I know how this looks, me exposing this or covering this on my channel, considering Abba and I history, man. But regardless if I had any history with Abba personally, man, this shit needs to be addressed. People need to be aware of this. People need to know about this shit, man. Right? Regardless of it just being her side of the story, because I understand there's three sides to a story. There's her side, there's his side, and there's the truth. But what y'all cannot debate are these text messages, unless you're going to have these conspiracy theorists out here saying, oh, she doctored the messages. Man, come on now.
No. We're not saying any of that stuff, that she's doctoring messages. Absolutely not. What I do think is that you can't skip over what was said between her and Abba, because you just kind of heard her side. She scrolled past a lot of the stuff that he said to kind of like, still make herself look okay. But when you understand that it's a difficult situation for what she's trying to put Abba in, she doesn't want to be in a relationship, but she still wants to have the baby. That is not ideal. Okay. So maybe he doesn't understand that she actually had the abortion because he completely skipped over it. He didn't want to hear the rest of it. But you need to hear the rest of it. But I don't know. I think it was just a matter of getting the story out quicker than everybody else. And this is not a good idea, Stevie.
This woman ain't doctor nothing, bro. I mean, I've had back and forth with Abba. That was fucking Abba. Right? And then to see messages when bro was saying, I don't want to have anything to do with the baby. He can say, I don't want to have anything to do with her if you ain't fucking with her, man. But at the end of the day, he planted the seed in her, got her pregnant. And from her side of the story, she wanted to end things. And if she ended things, that means he's not going to be president as a father. Y'all read the comments, bro. Don't call me. I don't want to have anything to do with it. You're going to be a single mother. And then this is, Abba. The almighty virtuous one who's always out here trying to take the moral high ground, telling people what not to do and what to do, when the irony, right, where he is a clear-cut case example of the worst type of man ever, to leave an expecting mother high and dry because she don't want to be with you, or regardless of whatever this.
I mean, we are forgetting that he wanted to support her if they were going to have a child. He was excited about that. But then when she was kind of going back and forth of whether she wanted to have the abortion or not, he was supporter with that too, So he went to the first one and then they decided against it. And then she went back, 2 more times, whatever. And then, she said that she didn't want to have a relationship with him. So it's just like, I don't know. I can understand why Abba wanted to completely separate ties with this woman, because now she is going to create all types of problems, you know? It's like, can we just have like an easy departure, be separate, and then continue with our lives and stuff? Like, you don't have to bring any innocent people into this world that, you know, did not make the choice to live and stuff. It's like, can we just go our separate ways, live our own lives, and, you know, be happy again? But it seems like, no, she wasn't ready to let go. I mean, that's the thing. That's the complicated thing about, you know, women, is that they don't know what they want. You know, they can feel one way one day and then they change, you know, they're ruled by their emotions. And I think, being a logical human being, Abba just wanted to get clarity. He wanted to know where he stood, where they stand, and, you know, the fact that they were both blocking each other, they were both not communicating with one another. That's what caused all the confusion. So they're both really at fault, in my opinion, you know, in their own ways. But I do kind of understand why Abba kind of acted the way he did, was because, you know, she didn't want the relationship, but she wanted the baby. And you got to understand, that's going to create all types of problems down the line.
The case may be, man, because, you know, there may be a whole different side of why they didn't work. But it was clear in the messages. But what was clear in the messages, he said, you don't want to be with me, so I'm not going to be a father to that baby, bro. What type of fucking man is that? That's not a man. That's not a man. It's going to be real interesting hearing bro's side of the story. Right? You know he the king of receipts. You know he the king of manufacturing narratives, bro. To do all
that's two different things. Manufacturing narratives and being the king of receipts is like, yeah, you have facts and then you have stuff that's like cobbled together to push a narrative. Those are two different things. That's pretty funny that he said that.
All of that to a woman that you was with, that you got pregnant, right? To a child that you was bringing into this world, bro. Regardless of you fucking with the mother or not, that's your fucking baby, bro. Right? And you know, I would be a bitch. I would be a liar. Right? I would be a hypocrite for not covering this on my fucking channel, and with everything that we cover here, telling people how to be a man, how to be responsible, how to be moral, how to have integrity, how to do the right thing, how to be respectful, bro. And to drag the mother of your child like this, you got to be an evil, sadistic motherfucker out here to just cut her off like that. Any man out here for that.
Yeah, but you can't believe all women. You can't just take one woman's side and not hear the other side. It's like, this should have been a little bit more of a measured approach. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've listened to the Libby video for the first time with you guys just now. Okay. So now I know everything in the entirety on her side. So now let's see what Abba has to say. You know, it's like, I haven't really decided on who is right and who's wrong, but I do want to kind of keep an open mind. There is a possibility that, you know, she could be wrong in this situation.
It has the ability to just say, if you had that baby, I'm not fucking with you. Right? Pretty much forcing her to have the abortion. Right? Because the majority of...
see, what I'm seeing is her telling Abba that I don't want to have the relationship with you. So that is kind of like, well, if you don't want to be with me, then I don't want to be with you. You know, the fact that she's throwing this baby into the situation that like, oh no, I still want to have the baby. Then it's like, well, then it means you want to be a single mother then. You know, it's like, you want me, but you don't want me. You don't want me, but you want my responsibility. It's like, that's not right.
Women are going to do what she did, given those circumstances, because who wants to go through that alone? Right.
Women do. You'd be very surprised. Women will see the government programs that are in place and they're like, dude, I can totally do this on my own. I have so many benefits that, you know, will be waiting for me and stuff. Yeah, I mean, this is why women will have multiple kids from multiple baby daddies, multiple paydays, you know, it's messed up.
But then taking in consideration the hormones and the feelings and the emotions, and then the fact that the man that impregnated you is moving that way, considering who Abba is and how he portrays himself to be. Right? That's a motherfucker, bro. That's a motherfucker, dog. So, look, y'all do with that what y'all will, man. But shit's fucked up and your boy got some explaining to do.
So now we're going to hear Abba's version of this. We're going to finally get his side. And then, we can decide for ourselves, what is right and what isn't. So this is called What Happened by Abba from Abba and Preach. Let's hear what he has to say.
Whew. You know what I mean? You guys don't know, I actually made that song after we ended our relationship because it felt so good to be free. Y'all ever been in a relationship where you start like forgetting yourself a little bit? You know what I mean? Who you really be, what you like, what you love. That's what this individual stole from me. So that's why I made that song right there. I'm still working through it. All right, we're gonna have a 5-minute version eventually. Got to work through it.
I decided I would save you guys and skip all of that song and just go straight into his commentary of what happened because, we don't need it. You guys can go watch the video if you want to see the song and stuff.
Let's get to it. A lot of folks been like, Abba, you hiding? You terrified? So, I'm going to explain a little bit because some of y'all are like, what the fuck is going on, Abba? And Preach's not here right now. I actually asked if he could. He said he wouldn't be available till 9:30. I got to go salsa dancing around 9:30. So he might get here just for the end. That's the reason why he's not there. Now, some of you might read into it. Preach running away. We're streaming tomorrow, so we'll see you guys then. But I figured I would just get here right now to talk about it because it's worthwhile. Now, some of you who've been following us all year know that around the end of the last year, going into this year, I was pretty stressed out. I was dealing with a lot. Your boy was showing up with some soju, not because I wanted to be an alcoholic. I was just drinking one, but it was still a pretty stressful period. And
soju, that's the alcohol that Johnny Smalley was drinking out in South Korea, man. That's what got him all messed up. I don't know. I mean, that's the Johnny Somali special right there.
The reason why it was stressful wasn't because I pulled a Fresh or a Walter. The reason why it was stressful is because I was involved in a relationship where the other individual, how would I put this? Guys, today you guys are going to see me be a bit vulnerable and be real about aspects of my life that I never want to share with the public, mostly because it involves people I know in real life, and that's always a weird thing. But unfortunately, she forced my hand, and so I figured I'd come up here, guys, and be real honest.
Yeah, she's actually done more than one video. I think she only has, hold on. Let's go back to Libby's channel right here on YouTube. I believe she has like 3 videos that she's put together on this whole thing. We just watched the first one here. Let's see. Yeah, so she has 3 videos. The first one we watched was from 2 days ago, and then you have part 2 and part 3. Or no, 2 part 2s. Text thread for part 2, and then part 2, why I did this. So both of these videos were from 7 hours ago. So that's it looks like it says she only has 2 videos, but I see 3 right here. So her whole channel is just going to be about exposing Abba. So we'll go back and see what his response is.
I don't hate her. This is somebody I love very, very much, and I loved. And, we went through something that was very, very difficult. And it's hard for me to hate this person because for me, if I love somebody, it doesn't just go away. And so even making this for me right now feels weird. But you were just dancing 5 minutes ago. Yes, because the relationship itself fucking took so much out of me. I can sit here in front of you guys today and feel very comfortable because I gave everything to a relationship. Every ounce of me. More patience than I even fucking knew I had. And wore myself out doing everything in my body to make things work. And it just didn't work out. And breakups are always tough because you leave thinking like, what if, and this and that. But when you give everything, when you tried and you tried and you tried and it just didn't work out, it's a lot easier for me to walk away and to look back on it and speak about it because, there's nothing really much else for me to do. So now she comes out with this video Didn't know what was happening, so it was a little blindside. I woke up at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and you guys are getting this all raw, live, unfiltered, the same way she got it raw, and that's why we're here, okay? So why don't I just plug in the video a little bit so y'all can see who we're talking about. This is my ex, Libertine Kalina. All right, she's a Filipina, my first, my last. I like you Filipinos. You guys are awesome. You know what I mean? Her family seems really cool, so I'm always say positive things about the people them. But let's take a look.
My name is Libby.
God damn, what a dramatic ass intro. But that's who she is, okay? Now, I'm not going to spend an hour going over this whole video because I don't think it's really worthwhile. I think the main concern is Abba.
Plus, we've already done that.
Abba, you know what I mean? She got some baby mama drama. Is that what people want to know? The allegation essentially is that Abba's like fresh. She got a girl pregnant and he just manipulated or bullied her or whatever. Or he abandoned. And that can be further from the truth. Could be further from the truth. So we'll get into all of those details, okay?
I think it's actually good that he's drinking because he's going to be honest here. You know, even though he is vulnerable dealing with, you know, a lot of this painful memory and stuff like that, he's willing to let down his inhibitions and just kind of be completely honest. So I think that's a good thing to do.
Someone said, "Oh, Abba, you're sweating right now." To be honest with you, I really don't. I don't live my private life in a way that I would be afraid if it came to light. I know someone might think that, but I'm not looking back on all my decisions in this dynamic and going, "Oh my God, if someone," I don't give a fuck. You know, I just don't want y'all because it's annoying. You know what I mean? Having people in my personal life, we're talking about, it's annoying. But beyond that, like, I'm not stressing, to be honest with you. So for all the people being like, "Oh my God," like, not really bothered. So,
and that's having a thick skin right there. That is basically, you know, dealing with stuff head on and, you know, not letting it break you down, not, you know, ghosting, not, you know, hiding from the internet and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I mean, if you can talk about these things and you have a clear conscience or a clear heart and stuff, yeah, I mean, it's easy to talk about and at least try to set the record straight, because now there's going to be a narrative pushed that he is a deadbeat dad and all this stuff. And I mean, it's only right to get ahead of it.
Me and her dated for some time, and we talked at length about what we would do if she got pregnant. And both of us landed on we would keep the child. And the reason why we would want to keep a child is because for her, she presented herself as a Christian, someone of faith. For me,
if she's Filipino, she is probably like Catholic, you know, like they're all about, you know, family, having kids, being family oriented and stuff. And abortion is like the last thing on their minds.
Pro-choice, you guys know that. But at the same time, I tell myself, like, you know, if it's my child and it feels right and we're in a union, then I'm more than willing, even if it's unexpected, to assume my responsibilities and do what I got to do. The three things that she presented to me that surprised me in all this was that, one, she said she would never quit. She's not a quitter. You know what I mean? So that to me was reassuring, because I want to work through problems, want to work through issues, fights, everything. And, you know, I value that in a partner. Second thing she told me was that, you know, she wouldn't get an abortion. For her, keeping children really important. So I'm like, cool, you know, it's not my faith or anything like that, but I get that and I respect that.
So far, two things that are really good. I'm never going to quit. That means never going to quit on this relationship. No matter how bad things get, we're going to still work it out. And then if I get pregnant, you know, I'm going to keep the baby and stuff like that. So those are two good things to hear as a man.
And the third thing is that she's not a cheater, and she doesn't believe in courting the attention of other men. Okay. And this third one turns out is the reason why we're here today. Okay.
Oh, shit. So that's pretty major, you know, like cheating and making yourself available, you know, socially or physically for other men and stuff. That's a huge red flag. And that was completely omitted out of her video and stuff. So this is a new development here.
She presented herself as somebody who, you know, if I'm seeing somebody or whatever, I wouldn't even let another man come up to me and talk to me. She, you know, I think it's disrespectful. She presented herself like as one with such strong boundaries and not, entertaining other men. It almost was a lot. For me, like if I'm seeing somebody, if they're exclusive with me, that's all I don't need you to know you said goodbye to someone because they said hi to you at the gym or you ran away. But she felt the need to explain to me it's a big deal to her. So I said, fantastic. Now, let's get to the first thing. We had these conversations about keeping children or not. And I should give you guys a little bit of background. Now you're going to get medical information, okay? Up until about 2.5 years ago. So 2.5 years ago, I went to the doctor, and essentially, I won't get into the long gist of the conversation because it's none of your fucking business. But the doctor kind of told me like, hey, listen, your sperm count's mad low. I don't think you have kids. So in my head, I'm like, shit, I didn't get a vasectomy. That's like kind of good news, but I wanted kids. Maybe I didn't know. But part of me was like, maybe I won't. So
that's not, having a low sperm count does not mean that you're shooting blanks. That just means that you got a low sperm count. But that could be caused from years and years of smoking weed and probably drinking alcohol and stuff like that. What actually causes a low sperm count? I'm actually curious about that. Let's see. What causes a low sperm count? Let's see. Hormonal imbalances. Issues with hormones that regulate sperm production can lead to a low sperm count. Medical conditions such as diabetes, cystic fibrosis, and infections can affect sperm production. Lifestyle factors, sedentary lifestyle, poor diet, smoking, or excessive alcohol consumption can negatively impact sperm quality. Environmental factors, exposure to toxins, heavy metals, radiation can also contribute. Heat exposure and frequent uses of saunas, hot tubs, can raise scrotal temperature, affecting sperm production. Interesting. Okay, so maybe alcohol, maybe kind of a sedentary, poor diet, smoking and stuff. Okay, so I wasn't completely off with that. So good to know.
I meet this girl. We hit it off. Relationship's going great. It's crazy. You guys have never, ever seen any person I've been in a relationship or dated. And yeah. So this is my ex, okay? Libertine Kalina, all right? And this is the profile that I saw about her, okay? So here she is, nothing crazy. You know what I mean? She likes archery. She's a family person, Yeah,
so this is her in it looks like on the back of a jeepney. And so, yeah, this is all very respectable, fully clothed. She's with some elders, she looks like a nurse and stuff. She's here with family and stuff. So yeah, this is all very respectable.
Nothing too crazy. So this is what I know about her. Okay. She cute. Yeah. I might have some beef with her now, but I'm never going to say she was ugly. She wasn't a Chinese escort, for everyone to ask.
Brett's got to keep catching these strays, man, no matter what.
So anyways, I thought I was shooting blanks, and we was getting it on. And it turns out I wasn't shooting blanks. Big surprise to the both of us.
You just need one to make it in, man. That's it, man.
You guys, I don't know why, man. Everyone was messaging me like, "Abba, you stressed?" I'm like, I'm really not. Okay. So she gets pregnant, and we had a conversation about it. And initially, she's like, "Okay, we'll do this." And this is the only time that she ever told me she wanted to have a kid. And when she told me that, I said, "Okay." I wasn't expecting this, but if this is where it's turning, then I'm gonna assume my responsibilities. But yeah, let's do this. So this happens,
which is very important for us to hear. That was his initial reaction. Whatever news it is, whether she is pregnant or she's not. If she is pregnant, then he's willing to assume the responsibility.
I'd have been November, October, I don't know. But at this point, my life changes a little bit at that point because I'm in my head now focused on dealing with what's in front of me. I have a huge responsibility, so I'm shifting all things in my life to assume that responsibility. I'm shifting my investments, I'm shifting my work stuff, And I have a hard time explaining this to you guys. I've never fathered a child before, but being a dad was something that I told myself if I was going to do, I would do it the right way. And so for me, it was really important that my life was in order. And even though I'm successful on YouTube and whatever it could be, and I'm doing fine financially, I'm doing great, I think there's a lot of things in my personal life that I could have in better order. You know what I mean? I could be in some better shape. I mean, take my health a little bit better, so I'm here for a long time. Mindset things, like I was really getting ready for the prospect of this. A week goes by, and all of a sudden, I start getting messages from her on a regular basis of her feeling unsure. And the whole time, I'm being incredibly supportive. Don't worry, guys, I'm going to show evidence of this. But for me, it's very tough because from that point on, and for the next 2.5 months, she flip-flopped between I'm not sure and I'm not going to have the child. Now, I could only be supportive because, as you know, this is a man's world. But when it comes to kids, babies got control, women got control. So
that's literally what I said. Because I mean, that's kind of what I think is that, if you're out here and you get a woman pregnant and stuff like that, you have to take the responsibility for it, and B, if you're presenting with a situation where the woman does not want to continue the relationship with you and she wants to have the abortion, then you have to kind of support her in that decision.
Even if I didn't want to have the kid, if she tell me no, then that's what it is. I told her how I felt. I told her why I wanted to go forward with it. She felt differently, and she would waver. And all I could do is be respectful and be supportive, because at the end of the day, think about my options from my perspective. She's carrying my kid. If I stress her out, it may result in a miscarriage. If I make her feel alienated, it might push her toward abortion. All I can do right now for the health of the child and for her health as well is to be supportive. That's all I can really do. So that's what I did. And I tried. You know what I mean? I tried. And one time she said dead set on having an abortion, even though I was against it. And I flew down to be with her, not to convince her not to have the abortion, but to be there for her through it.
So, and that confirms what she said the first time that they went. He was there with her and stuff to support her in her decision. So that lines up.
It doesn't make sense to me to have a partner and they're going to go through something as traumatic as an abortion and I'm not there. Okay? We were committed. So,
but we know now from her side of the story that she was willing to have the abortion, go through the abortion 2 more times without him being there. Whereas, he just stated that's a traumatic experience to experience all by yourself. You should I would at least want to be there to, help you get through that.
I flew down. And let me see if I can find this in the notes here. Sorry, boys and girls.
I'm going to speed this up a little bit.
So I'll go down to let's say here. All right, so some of you be like, why do you have this, Abba? I'll tell you guys why I have this later, okay? But you guys are going to hear it. I would not accept that. And I know how you feel about it, and I understand. So right now what you guys are going to hear, this is a conversation that me and her had months later after most of this happened, okay?
Yeah, continue going on.
And you're
I knew you to know that, you're saying, you knew what I was going, I explained, the debilitating decision making, I was doing every day. I was going back and forth every day. I was just trying to figure out what to do. And
so this is the phone call that she was not willing to play. Looks like this is the one that he's playing now for us right now.
And I regret that.
So, I'm guessing there is probably some information in here that probably kind of favors Abba, and that's probably the main reason why she didn't want to play it for us on her video.
The way I handled it, and I feel like the first few weeks I was thinking about you first. I feel like I was in a triangle of okay, if I don't have the baby, then things can continue going on with Abba, but if I have the baby, then it's just all this pressure with someone.
I understand that's what you thought in your head, but like, I think the frustrating part for me is I literally flew down to be there for you for the abortion. I don't know how things were going to go afterwards, but like, I would have supported you regardless. But when
it didn't seem like that. It didn't. You kept saying like you're never going to be the same.
It didn't seem like that. See, the thing is, like, this is kind of like the difference between men and women is that men will say something and women will perceive it in a bunch of different ways when really should just perceive it in the fact of what he said. Like, there shouldn't be like any like 2 cents about it and stuff. Even though he said something, she's like, yeah, but it didn't seem that way. Well, that's the disconnect here. He's telling you what he's willing to do for you, but now your feelings are getting in the middle of that, and you're not taking it for his word.
But that's just true, right? Like, you are not going to be the same either, and that's okay. Like, I wasn't going to lie to you and tell you I was going to come out the other side one way, but I told you I'd be supportive and I'd be there for you, regardless. I didn't go down there to convince you not to do it. I went down there believing you were really going to do it.
And that's him reiterating it to her that, look, I would have been there to support you. Sometimes as men, we have to say that. We have to reassure women by just saying it again, to really drill it in their heads that, no, there's no 2 ways about this. There's no, a different way to look at it. This is what it is. This is what I'm trying to tell you.
That's why I went down there. And like, you wanted to talk about it. I didn't even want to talk about it when I came down. You were trying to comfort me. And I said, it's okay.
But you were having a hard time, and sorry, I'm not going to argue with you.
Of course he's having a hard time. This isn't something that he wanted. He didn't want to get rid of the baby. He wanted you to have the baby, and he wanted to work things out with you. But this is a decision that you wanted to make. So, of course, he, as a man, he wants to support you.
You don't think that I look at you, and I don't care about how you feel. Like, you don't think, at the time, I'm, like, seeing you, and I do love you, and I'm like looking at you, and I'm like, this guy's devastated. And then a part of me is like, I also don't want to, but I'm like, again, I was like in this triangle where like, okay, if I don't have the baby, things can still move forward because it's like we can still figure out if we're compatible. We can still figure all that out. And yeah, if the pregnancy happened, I don't think any of this would happen. But sorry.
I think a baby will bring two people closer together, whether. I don't understand the thought process of you're in a relationship with someone and you are willing to abort the baby, but then continue the relationship because you think that having a baby is not right now. You only get like so many opportunities to conceive and stuff, and I think every time that you do get pregnant, I think you should take it into consideration that when it's time, it's time, it's like sometimes we don't choose, sometimes we don't plan. Sometimes these things just happen. So, you got to kind of be a little flexible in that type of situation, like, okay, so this is what we're doing now. We now need to start planning, we need to start, communicating more. We need to figure out, what the future of us looks like, like everything becomes lessened in terms of like, bitter arguments or a little petty, disagreements and stuff. It's like you have a child now on the way. This is a little bit more important than all of that. All of that kind of falls to the wayside. So now, but Libby's thought process is like, well, maybe we shouldn't have a baby right now. Maybe we can still try to work things out and stuff like that. You saw Abba's whole behavior just now when she was saying that. He was just like, no, that's not what I want. I want to have this baby and I want us to work things out. But she wants to do things the other way. And I think that's where the main problem was.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know. I think I always told you the outcome I would have preferred. But I told you I would support you regardless, and I'd be there for you. And I think I try to show up both emotionally and physically by being there in person. I think I went out of my way to try to make that clear to you. And I also didn't lie to you. I didn't tell you I'm going to be fine, everything's going to be great. I told you, like, it's going to be tough on us. It's going to be tough on you, it's going to be tough on me. I don't know how I'm going to change afterwards. I can only tell you that I'm dreading it. And I think that's a reasonable and like mature response to the whole situation. I don't need anyone to coddle me or anything like that. Like, I know these things are going to be difficult, and who knows, maybe it does break us. Who knows? But I would never force you into parenthood before you're ready, and I always told you that. So what I'm saying there is because she didn't want to have the kid, and I was saying I did, right? I told her, though, like, I'm not going to sit here and convince you to be a parent. I think that's weird. Like, I can't force someone to be a parent. So if I'm having a kid with somebody and I'm the one who wants it and they don't want it, I'm not going to force them into parenthood. So I told her what I felt, and then I stopped. I stopped trying to convince her to keep the kid. didn't want to keep it. So, I just accepted it and tried to be supportive, but I was in this really weird position. So I'll keep going. Always. And I understand you may have not felt that way, but I think you don't know from my perspective, like, I really tried to convey to you what I wanted whilst letting you know that I would have your back to the best of my abilities, whatever you choose. And I understand you might have felt differently. I'm just saying what I said and what I tried to do in terms of actions. Okay? Right? Because you didn't want me there for the abortion. Remember? I had to convince you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to be there for it. And I told you it's my responsibility. It was not to convince you. When I got there at the hotel, I was not trying to talk to you about it. And I know you were trying to say sweet things to me to tell me, like, we'll have more kids in the future. I was like, you don't have to say this stuff. It doesn't make me feel good, and it's okay. Like, I'm going to be there. But
the history is still there. You still, deleted a prospect, of our child and stuff. It's like you kind of have to. I mean, even though if you were to have other children and stuff, there's always going to go back to that first one. The first one that you did not want.
Take it tomorrow. Let's just get through it. And like, that's me telling you I don't like what's happening, but I'm here because I care about you. You understand? So
that kind of paints a whole different picture, doesn't it? The context, at least, in terms of Abba wanting to support her no matter what decision she decides to make. He's already met his position, be known that he wants her to have the baby so that they can work things out and grow together and stuff and raise the child. But she doesn't want it. So he can only state his position, but also come back and support her on whatever she decides. So I think Abba he's in the right here, at least in terms of, look, I'm going to support you no matter what, in terms of whatever decision you make. It might break us. It might break us because this is something that is a big deal to me. But you have this kind of made up in your head that we can still go back to being normal after this. And we've obviously seen that hasn't transpired.
What's tough for me is like, so she didn't want me there for the abortion. I flew down anyways. And the night before the abortion, she was talking to me. She was like, we can have more kids in the future. And I'm like, right before you're going to go end this, that's what you want to come for me with? So I'm like, just stop. It's okay. I'm not here to be a sour. I'm not pouting. It's okay. Let's just go through with this.
Yeah, and the promise of having more kids is like, who's to say that this wouldn't happen again down the line? Just because we're having a couple arguments, maybe like a really major disagreement or something, maybe in terms of our lifestyles or ideals and stuff, and we have to go through this again. It's just like, I'm sorry, I'd much rather be with someone who says what they say, that they are not a quitter. They care about family. They want to. If they have a child, they want to keep it and stuff like that. She backtracked on that.
Wake up in the morning and she canceled the abortion. So this is like the 9th time already that she's changed her mind between having it or not having it. And I can't stress this to you guys enough, how fucking debilitating and mentally breaking it is to have to deal with somebody changing their mind. Now,
going through it one time, going through the whole, like him actually going to be there in support for her for the first abortion, that had been very a traumatic, mind-altering experience. It's not something that I would wish on my worst enemy. But having to experience that more than once, more than 3 times, that has to kind of wear on your soul after a while. And after that, I can completely understand why he would just like please just have the baby. Oh, not have the baby, have the abortion, and let's just be done with this, whatever. Or be so frustrated to say, look, if you're flip-flopping on this and you're going to have it, I don't want anything to do with it. It's like that is taking it a little too far. That is kind of where I don't agree, but I do think that his first reaction of saying, I'm going to support you no matter what. If you want to have the abortion, then we can go through that and that will be it and stuff. But it may break us, That's him being honest.
I'm sympathetic because I can imagine it's a stressful situation. You're deciding your future, you're hormonal. I'm being as patient as I can be throughout the whole process. I'm not saying nothing because I don't know what it's like to carry a kid. But to be honest with you, it was tough on me. Okay, the same was tough on her. I'm not here to villainize her or whatever. All my friends, my friends have nothing nice to say about her. Okay, they say she didn't have, we're pregnant, it's lying, whatever. I don't say any of that because I know, despite what the fuck she's doing now and all this goofy ass shit, she's not a bad person. At least that's not the experience I had with her. Now, maybe I'm stupid, whatever it is, love struck, whatever you want to say, but I'm just not going to sit here and pretend like she's a demon or whatever. I just think it was a very stressful situation for two people who weren't ready at the time, and I think we just didn't handle it the best. And you guys are seeing it unfold publicly, and I think it's stupid that it's happening this way. But this narrative that I didn't want to have the kid or some baby drama, it's not real. For most of our relationship, it was me trying to tell her not to do it, okay? So, that
seems a little bit more realistic, that he was ready to step up for his responsibility, but because she kept wavering back and forth on, going to the abortion clinic and stuff like that. Yeah, I can completely understand why that would just take a toll on you. And you're like, look, man, it's like, I don't want this in my life anymore. Like I kind of want to completely be done with this. And I completely understand why he blocked her, man. It's just like, dude, that's like negative energy that you don't have to have in your life if you so choose to, but the fact is now, a woman's scorn is going to come back and now try to expose you being this type of person. Now she's going to try to push this narrative that, you abandoned me and the baby and all this stuff like that. It's like, I can see how you can get a lot of women to blindly follow you, and Stevie Knight to blindly follow every word you're saying and stuff. But when you hear the other side and you hear that, he actually did want to be in this child's life, he did want to, work together and stuff like that, and he was heavily against the abortion from the initial jump, I think that's very important to take into consideration.
What it is. And the reason why I just didn't want to do this vid or talk about this is because, like, it's personal and it's pretty traumatic. To be honest with you, I'm still grieving that whole experience, and I haven't been good afterwards. It's a tough thing to deal with, thinking you're going to live life one way, and it's like very difficult. And I'm probably going to mourn that for a long time. Okay. And I don't want to talk about that with you guys, but here we are. And I'm okay with people making rumors about me. I've heard all kinds of rumors, all the craziest things you can imagine. But seeing my ex do something like this is like, to me, it's a bit loserish, to be honest with you. And it is disappointing, but I think I understand. No, I don't get why, but it doesn't matter. Let's keep going with this, okay? So what happens during this period? So there's about a 2.5 month period after she told me where she's flip-flopping all the time, scheduling abortions, canceling, and like, I'm going through hell, okay? And if you guys go back and watch some of them lives during that period, you can see it. I even talk about it, and I'm down these bottles like nothing, all right? Because that whole 3-month period, 4-month period, whatever the fuck it was, I don't remember. Time was not real to me. I would wake up and it felt like I was fucking floating and I was, at the mercy of some bullshit. But I just tried to be quiet, be supportive, and just try to do what I can because I just wanted her health to be okay. Because she was not handling the pregnancy well. She was having mood swings and wild. And the way she was talking to me during that period was crazy.
Yeah, a woman is going to be very rational back and forth, like emotions up and down, hormonal imbalance and stuff like that. So even trying to have like a civil conversation about, something big as an abortion is a very difficult thing to do. So, the only thing he can do is just kind of do his best to just kind of, be supportive of what she wants and stuff, and try not to stress her out too much.
And at first I wasn't understanding of that, but, I did my own research on what hormones and pregnancies do to a woman, and, your boy learned some things. So my own red lines weren't very difficult, okay? The two things I asked her is like, I don't want any kind of baby mama business. What does that mean? I ain't just trying to get pregnant and see how things go, okay? So when it comes to having children, ideally we do with intentionality. Now, some of you might say, boy, probably shouldn't fuck her raw. I'm gonna hold the L. Like I said, Doc told me everything's cool, but it's still my fault, so Abba can hold some L's. You know what? Let me go through all the L's that I...
Yeah, you know what? There is to be fair, doctors telling you that you have a low sperm count, and then you thinking, oh, I can just bust in girls raw, whatever, and it's fine. It's almost kind of like the other side of the coin would being a woman saying that she is, it's really hard for her to get pregnant. Like women have said that, oh yeah, it's really hard to get pregnant, whatever. And a woman will say, I'm allergic to condoms. I'm actually allergic to latex. It just, for some reason, it just, I don't know, it's not good. So it's like, those two things, saying that you're allergic to latex and also saying that's really, it's very, very difficult for you to get pregnant. It's like women will say these things because they think that it's like, okay, like it kind of gives them the green light to just bust inside.
Wrote down, because I did write these down before I even knew this was happening, okay? Abba's many L's, shit. Okay, here we go. I wrote a bunch down because I take some L's, and you know what I mean? Your boy's not against admitting to his faults. Abba chose her. That's a big time L. All right, that's on me. Whatever she's doing right now, at the end of the day, I chose her, so that's on me. Abba ignored some red flags. That's a big time L, okay? And I will tell you guys why. Before she got pregnant, I think. I tried to break up with her one time. And she roped me back in, but at the end of the day, I allowed myself to get roped back in. So before any of this crazy shit happened, Abba's gonna hold the L because he ignored some big ass red flags that he saw, but he decided to ignore because he said, we're gonna work through it. And I think this is one of those times where I'm like, working through it is not bad, just don't do it for the wrong person. And Abba needs an L for that. Abba didn't leave when he felt it was time. That's another L, 3 times total, okay? Another L, Abba got her pregnant. I'm also messaging that one to my doc. My doc lied to me, okay? And the 6th one, and this is the one that I think I'm probably most accountable for, Abba engaged in fights that she started when he should have walked away. Now I'm talking third person because I wrote that in my notes, but that's what I did, okay? There were some arguments that we had that she would... I'm be honest with y'all, look through the thread. I could post these if she fucking want to go there. But she would initiate these things, and she'd have a habit of like pushing this button. And I was like, yo, you tripping. And then she would push it, and then I would retaliate, and then she would go, I would never. How could you say that? And I can't tell y'all how much that shit is triggering, but to be involved with somebody you can't walk away from, and they push your fucking buttons, and then you say something, and they act like they never did nothing. I remember I even sent her a message.
I think we've all been through that, you know, like we've been through in a relationship with a woman who knows us so well that they know, you know, what to say to really get under our skin. So the fact if we want to give it back to them in some way or form, then that's when they start clutching their pearls and they start, you know, claiming like verbal abuse and stuff. And like, well, you started all this though. It's like, if you hadn't come at me with just some random BS, whatever about me, whatever, then I wouldn't have said what I said. So it's like, you know, I think there is an accountability issue there.
And I started like cataloging at some point what the tactics felt like every time we would have a disagreement. And I'm gonna show it to you guys because this is like from our own threads. I actually sent it to her to be like, I know this is gonna happen. And you know what's crazy? After I would send it to her, I'm like, all right, here's a fight's about to start. I would send her this message being like, this is what I think is gonna happen. One of these 4, let's see which one happens. I swear she would start hitting 1, 2, 3 like it was bingo. Okay, so this is what it was. So here it was. It would go, complain about how you feel without understanding how the other feels. Okay, downplay your part in all of it. Number 3, frame yourself as the wronged party in every discussion. And number 4, pretend to be accountable, but end everything with, yeah, I was wrong, but you were more wrong. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say she was more wrong or I was less wrong. Okay, that is always going to.
I can kind of like understand that whole. I was wrong. You were wrong, but I was wrong, but you were more wrong. Like I've kind of I've said something similar. Whatever. It's like, yeah, I was wrong in what I said, but you caused me to say the thing I said. It's kind of similar to that.
Be subjective or whatever. But at the end of the day, if 2 people have an argument,
but you know, like I will say this right here, right now. Any argument that you win with a woman is a loss in the long run. Okay. So that's just, you know, when you get into like a serious relationship with someone, you learn that you need to choose your battles and understand, kind of like look overall, you know, what is worth fighting about and what is not fighting about.
Do something wrong, saying you were more wrong for this and you were more, it seems pointless. Like trying to tally up these things, it just feels like everything you say afterwards is bullshit because you're always positioning yourself as the person who's aggrieved and the other one's the aggressor and they need to like really be, you know, apologizing. Every argument we would have would be one of these 4. And it just got so exhausting. And
there is one thing that, you know, women will do, and they like to bring up old stuff. They like to kind of use that in whatever current argument that you guys are having. And that's not fair. And I've learned to call that out and say, hey, let's stick on that actual topic. Let's not bring up old stuff, okay? Because that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. And I do that now, and then believe me, it saves me a whole lot of trouble.
One point, I just stopped. I literally would not talk. Because every disagreement that we would have would end up in one of these 4. And I was like, nigga, I'm tired. Now you guys are hearing all this and you're like, but why would you ever stay? Because like I said, you guys are hearing now the negative side. But there's actually a good side to her. honest. She can be very kind. She can be very caring. She can be very thoughtful. In fact, this backpack is a gift she got me, which I'm a big fan of. She got me the AirPods I'm using right now. She would be very, listen, I'm not gonna get to all things, but I'm not here to position her as like some gold digging. Like, she never asked me for money, even though I spent way more in terms of traveling and stuff like that. But there was a lot of good times.
And that's kind of what I was saying before on the last podcast is like, when men, or actually the I guess the podcast, the debate I had with Sonic was that, men, when we start a relationship with you and, we think about the origin of our relationship and how we first got together and how we first saw you, we start preceding you and stuff like that. We hold on to all of that throughout the entire relationship. And that's what keeps us there, because we love that aspect about the woman so much, like the memories and all that stuff that we did and all the effort that we did in the beginning and stuff. It's like we hold on to all of that because all of that was investment towards this relationship. Whereas, I think that when people change, whether it's the man or the woman, if the woman changes and they become just this vindictive person, they're not the person that you used to be with, whatever, men will still think about the initial and how they were in the very beginning. And, whether it's worth walking away now, I mean, there's other factors and stuff that can determine that. If they're a danger to you, if they're a danger to your child, if they're a danger to your business and stuff, there's a lot of routes that a woman can take to really like cement her disqualification in the relationship that, okay, this cannot proceed any further because of this aspect. If a man is going to call off the relationship or be completely done with you, he has to realize that, you are now in a place where you can never go back to being that person that I used to think of you as. And that's when it truly is over.
I honestly think that if there was no pregnancy, I don't know how things would have gone. Okay. But unfortunately, it did happen. And like a pregnancy just accelerates everything. It changes the whole dynamic. It just does. So, to me, more than anything, all this is just sad. It's unnecessary to me. But let's keep going. All right, I see so many questions, and I'm going to see, y'all just give me some time, okay? Shout out to all the new members. I see Sasha Kerr. We got Dizzy. We got Rob Pops.
All right, I'm going to skip ahead of this just so that we can get further through the explanation here. All right, here we go.
Fucking blow through a wall for them, okay? And if I see my person suffering, I don't know. I see red. It's just kind of how I am. So, I tried. Genuinely, through multiple suicide attempts, I tried to do whatever I can to convince her to not do it. And
hold on. I think that was a major point, actually. She wanted to commit unaliving herself, or I guess that was one of the things that I saw on her video, actually, that she didn't talk about, because she had all those icons on her computer screen. There was one conversation from the phone screenshot, whatever, that said the S word, basically to unalive yourself. I guess that was a conversation. Maybe I was going to talk about it here. Let's see.
Shit. I personally, now looking back, I feel like a bit of manipulative because it would often happen when I would try to end things. One time, the first time she used her sister, who has an addiction problem. I ended things before the pregnancy, I think. And she hit me up talking about how her sister relapsed, and me, like a fucking dummy, I immediately went to being concerned and caring for her rather than asserting my own boundaries and staying away from her. But I don't know. This is a fault I have, and this is another L for me. So I'll take that. Okay? If I love somebody, I'm trying. And I won't feel bad for that, because if it's for the right person, I don't think that's a bad thing. But
yeah, I mean, I can kind of understand that. Like, you just don't ever want to give up, because giving up is easy. Taking the hard route of working it out and sticking it through and stuff, that is a little bit more challenging, but there's so much more of a reward at the end of that, because you guys are getting through the rough patches and stuff and coming out stronger. But it's the moment someone gives up, and doesn't see a way forward, you unfortunately have to dissolve a relationship because two people have to have that same type of heart, the same type of mindset that they will never give up.
Obviously, it was not for the right person, so here we are, okay? And I'll say this too, guys. I'm not sitting here showing you guys like, oh, Abba's such a great person, whatever. No, during our arguments, I would say things I wasn't the most proud of, and I'll own the fact that I was a big piece of shit during those times, okay? But those were also arguments I never initiated, never really feel like I was deserving, and that she would push. So it's just like, when you're fucking held to the end of a gun and someone pushes you, you're gonna say some shit. Does it make it okay? No. And I'm gonna have to hold that L, but I can also say, I never been through this before. Never had someone who pushed me to this point. My girl here, you see what I mean? My girl here, she pushed me to that point, all right? Oh, this shit tastes so good today. I will say, Koreans, if you're a Korean and you're watching, this has got to be the pride of your fucking country. This is the most delicious alcoholic beverage. And the reason why I can do this, guys, to you, unfiltered, raw, the way she got it, is I told you guys like this at the beginning. I gave everything. I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed at all. I gave everything, bro. And I don't know, afterwards I was kind of broken up about it. And honestly, I probably did some stupid things after the fact that I shouldn't have done while I was in that period. And I still need to recover. It's going to take me some time to get those pieces back. I'm going to make some more tracks. But I really did give everything. And I'll never be ashamed of that. So that's where I'm at with that right now. I'll keep going with this story. But right now, you know what I need?
Okay, so I was going to play a song and stuff like that. We can skip past that. But what I wasn't, basically, the way I can kind of see this now, now that we've gotten like his side of the story, is that, yeah, he did care a great deal for this woman. And he wanted to be there for her if she was to have a baby. But then now that she had presented him with the fact that they were a little rocky and maybe, they don't have the baby, maybe they have an abortion, and maybe they can still try to see they can continue further down the line and have kids later and stuff. That's what caused the whole problem and stuff. And then there was a lot of blocking going on in terms of, communication not being had, disagreements and stuff. He did his part in terms of trying to go there to be supportive and stuff, and then she started doing things without him, and then it got to the point where okay, so he just accepted what was going on, and he told her like, look, flat out, I'm just gonna, he's like, he got frustrated. He's like, look, if you don't want to have this baby, then fine, I don't want to be part of this relationship, I'm done. So I get that. And now she, maybe it was hard for her to let go because she did invest all this time with him as well. So in her state, in her hormonal state, even before she had the abortion and stuff, she was probably up and down and undecided on so many aspects of her life, whether she was going to, try to get support of her family or friends and stuff to raise the baby and stuff on her own, or if she was going to actually go through with it. I mean, it was a very traumatic experience, and it does suck that she had to do it by herself, but that is at the end her choice. She could have still been honest with him and told her like, look, I'm going to go through it with it today, and I would appreciate it if you could be here with me during this time and stuff. Give him that option, but I don't think she gave him that option. So there's a lot of fault on both sides here. I wouldn't say Abba is all the way wrong or all the way right. Of course, he is just a human. So, of course, if you're going to push somebody to a certain point, yeah, we're going to say some things that we don't necessarily mean because we are frustrated because things aren't going the way that we want it to go. But I think from the core, I think that he wanted a better outcome out of this. He wanted he wanted her to have the baby initially. He wanted them to work it out together and stuff like that. But because she made that choice to end the relationship and then also, go back and forth with the pregnancy and stuff, I can see that it's just a world of headache, So I do kind of believe Abba in this sense that, yes, she should have been honest with him in terms of like how she felt about the abortion and stuff. And if she was really truly like wanting to do this or wishy-washy, whatever, she should have been like, I don't know what I want to do and stuff. Can we just work this out and, continue the relationship and stuff like that and have the baby and stuff like that? I don't know. I think if she had came to him with that, I think that it would have been a better outcome, because that was really what he wanted. He wanted that. But at the end of the day, it's ultimately the woman's choice. So she chose this. So it's ultimately, she's the reason why this is happening. Now, the whole like trying to push this narrative that he's like this deadbeat guy, whatever, that's where I get off the train. I think she's completely wrong about that. I think that now that the baby has been aborted, I think she needs to just kind of move on with her life now, because he doesn't want anything to do with her.
I need to hear some good stuff.
All right,
these are irreconcilable.
We're gonna skip past the song. Let's get back to it. Okay, here we go.
Or like my sense of humor or things like that. Like, it's just like, lady, you're gonna do this now, but she had issues. You're entitled to those. My main issue is you are here now, and here at the 11th hour, you want to bring up stuff that you should have known beforehand. So then why are you doing that? But it's her right. I'm saying essentially, if you have these problems, and we have this kid, and it's irreconcilable.
There's that word. I hate that word. That's kind of, it's like no fault divorce, whatever. Been irreconcilable. I can't even say the word. I hate it so much. But that is one of the main reasons why modern women are leaving men. It's not because of anything that they did. It's just how they feel. They don't feel like there's a future there. So that's why they do it. It's not by any fault. The man didn't cheat. The man didn't hit her. The man didn't verbally abuse her and stuff. Maybe she was bored, and they had differences. So yeah, that's, I hate that word, man. But yeah, no fault divorce, man. That's what's ruining the country.
Reconcilable. That's an issue for me, okay? But I just want you to understand that the mounting of things that I felt like I've been cutting up that have become sources of issues for us, it makes me wonder if you're simultaneously both loving me and at the same time not sure if I'm the man for you. And as far as I'm being asked to change some aspects of myself and some very core to me, I worry that some of these are irreconcilable differences. And yeah, my concern is bringing a kid into that situation. It's a bit scary. So I wanted to kind of just share that with you, what I'm thinking. And yeah, I can handle you not wanting me. I can't handle having a child with you and then finding that out. There you go. Okay, you guys can see it there on the screen. And I think that's a fair statement. My thing was...
I agree with it. It's like, what's the point? What's the point if the baby isn't here yet? If the baby isn't, if you're still in that like window of opportunity to have the abortion and stuff, and just completely, we can, our relationship is already over anyway, so we can actually be free of one another without the parental obligation. It's like, why not just do that? I get it. It's a difficult decision, but it's what's best for the baby. The baby doesn't deserve to be brought into this world without a mother and a father.
That fear of being co-parents. Guys, relationships get together, they break up sometimes. That's okay. That happens. The only thing I told her, the one thing that I didn't want when we would have conversations is I don't want to go into a baby mama situation. I don't want to have a kid with somebody and we're already broken up. That's like, no, that's the one thing I don't want. Okay? I'm fine if we try and we go to therapy and we go to counseling and we do everything. We love each other, so let's try. And
that's a man right there that's willing to do whatever it takes, you know? And if she's not a quitter, if she's not willing to, you know, give up or surrender or whatever like that, then yeah, she should be on the same page too.
if we break up afterwards, I can live with that. We did what we could. My issue with her is that I started to feel like she didn't want to try. Okay?
And that could have been the hormones, you know, like her self-doubt creeping in, you know, her not, you know, knowing what's going to happen, you know? So with that uncertainty, that's going to kind of breed this sort of, you know, resentment maybe towards him, you know, that she just can't explain. And, you know, she doesn't know how to articulate herself in terms of like, yeah, I'm so unsure about what's going to happen with us, whatever, that I'm terrified, that I'm scared, you know, and I just don't want to, you know, it's that irrational side of a woman's brain that can truly mess things up, you know, for the future of the relationship.
So she knows this. That's the only thing I asked this entire time. She's never told me that she wanted a kid. All she's told me is that she's unsure or she doesn't want it. She's scheduling an abortion. So this whole time I've been fighting for the relationship, fighting to keep the kid. Okay? And you guys, I have much more examples of this, but I'm not trying to go through everything because your boy's trying to go dancing tonight. Okay? Fast forward, things are going better. Okay? I think that I'm enjoying a good relationship, that we've figured things out, we've worked through it. And when you work through things, you feel closer to the person. Like, damn, me and this motherfucker been fighting through shit. You know what I mean? I'm out dancing one Thursday, the same way I'm going to be dancing tonight. I get a call from her. Can we talk? Immediately at the middle of the dance, I'm like, She's like, you can get home and we'll talk then. But whatever inside of me felt off, okay? I said, no, I'm going to leave, which I never do. But, you know, this is the future mother of my children, the person I'm supposed to maybe marry. I don't know. So I go home, I get on the call. I want to say that I maybe said 5 words, and she did most of the talking. And you know what I'm going to say, guys? There's nothing worse than when someone breaks up with you, okay, and they want to say a bunch of compliments. It is the most fucking exhausting thing. It's like, bitch, just get this shit over with.
Yeah, Jesus, just, yeah, get to the point, man. Like, you know, like if you're going to fire me, you know, don't tell me how good of a worker I am. It's like, just let me get out of here.
I said it in the voice message, right? The voice note that you guys saw before. I can handle you not wanting me. I can't handle you not wanting me after the child is here.
Yeah, that's like textbook selfishness. It's like, no, I don't want you in the relationship, but I do want your responsibility and your monetary obligation, you know?
Yeah. So I said, I can handle you not wanting me. I can't handle having a child with you and then finding that out. Cool. Up until now, she never wanted a kid. She tried to have multiple abortions. Okay? Tell me how this lady gets on a call with me. It says, I'm ending the relationship and I'm keeping the baby. Oh, shit.
Wait, she's in a new relationship and she's keeping the baby? Hold on. I need to hear that one more time. That's a little messed up. Hold on 1 second. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I said, I can handle you not wanting me. I can't handle having a child with you and then finding that out. Cool. Up until now, she never wanted a kid. She tried to have multiple abortions. Okay? Tell me how this lady gets on a call with me. It says, I'm ending the relationship and I'm keeping the baby. Oh, shit.
Okay. She's ending the relationship. I want to make sure I heard that right, because I thought she said that she was in a relationship and she's keeping the baby, because that would have been a whole new horrible circumstance. And is this like, you know, feminist programming? Is this just like, oh yeah, you don't need no man, you know, like you can completely do bad on your own, you don't need this? It could be, you know, she probably has a lot of, you know, single baby mother girlfriends possibly that kind of got in her ear and said like, look, it's not as bad as you think. You know, you got all these different, you know, government programs that are going to help you and stuff like that. And don't worry, we're going to be here for you and stuff. So you don't need him. You don't need the father, whatever. He'll be just fine. So, I mean, maybe she had some convincing outside of her, you know, her inner circle and stuff that maybe told her that yeah, she can completely do this motherhood thing on your own. And it's the worst advice you could ever give to a woman. You know, a woman needs the father of the child in the life. You do, you know, and there needs to be civility there. There needs to be, because basically it's like once you have a child, that the responsibility of that child goes beyond any needs or wants of yourself. You know, it becomes all about the child at that point. And anybody that believes otherwise is completely selfish.
Yo, when I say I was floored, I didn't say a word. I was so blown away. I was like, is this real life? And I literally never saw it coming. She never spoke to me, never gave me a heads up. And I'll prove it to you guys, okay? Don't worry, there's proof. Guys, the call, the way it ended, I'll tell you what she said. And she was giving me a speech. Oh, you are so amazing. You're the best. Blah, 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 blah. And okay, peep this. Peep this. She gets to the end and she says that. And my first reaction, I'm still in shock because this is the one outcome I asked her not for. And she blindsided me with it. And I said, okay, just keep me updated. Bye. And you guys might think that reaction is crazy, but having her cut me out already a couple times, for her to do that this way and for the kid thing to be dropped that way was insanity.
Yeah, doing it over the phone is horrible. You got to do something like this face to face, and doing it over the phone is completely heartless, and I can see that pushing a man over the edge, you know, and completely going into this like, I don't care about anything anymore, you know? It's like, that's really horrible to do to somebody.
I can't tell you, this is by far the worst betrayal anyone's ever done to me. And I'll probably process that for a while, to be honest with you. But I was fucked up, I'm not gonna lie. That night, I think I might have played video games for like 2 hours and passed out and just tried to live. The next day I texted her, I'm like, you know what? If you could lie to me this whole time and keep me in the dark about this and then fuck me up with the betrayal that big, I don't want to co-parent with you. I said, listen, if you're going to have it, I prefer if you didn't because you've been wanting to have this abortion this whole time. I said to her, I prefer if you did it, but if you're going to do it, whatever. Oh, is that preach? Oh, you going to jump in? They thought you hated me.
No, because I wasn't.
Were you listening the whole time?
Yeah.
How is it?
Good job.
Okay.
Good job. It's just that I was in the show an hour and a half away from here.
Yeah. She said when Preach finds out, he gonna leave y'all. I was like, you stupid as fuck, bitch.
Shit, you stupid as fuck.
All right.
I'm sorry. Let me shut that off because
yeah.
I was in my car. I was driving. I left. I was an hour and a half away from here.
Yeah.
I was on stage at 8. I left at 8:15.
You sound out of breath, man. Jesus.
3.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. You know how.
Because you said you want to do this tomorrow, but I'm like, this can't wait. I want to go out dancing tonight.
I didn't understand that's what you were doing.
Yeah.
Until I realized I put the dots together, one and one together, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It is that. All right, cool.
Yeah.
You took the whole spot. You moved.
Because I was going to do some dancing. I set up a camera. I was going to do some dancing later. We will get a little session in. All right. So I'll keep going from where I'm at. So
you good? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. To be honest, I'm actually good. I told them the same thing I told you.
I know, bro, but I'm just... Yeah.
I know. I appreciate you. A couple of boys hit me up. I said, listen, guys. Let's
I didn't hit you. Yeah, no. Just speak your shit.
Yeah.
Talk your shit.
So it was, for me, the worst betrayal, to be honest. And I'll own up to this. It's not a responsible thing to respond the way that I did. But I hope you guys understand the shock that I had in the moment. And with a few months, I might have changed in my mind. To be honest with you, co-parenting with someone like her, I just can't imagine it. She is the way she handled this whole shit was demonic, okay?
And, that's kind of the control mechanism that women will have, when it comes to holding children over men's heads as, as leverage and stuff. Like, thank God that it didn't get as far as the child actually being born, because now he can have a clean break from her. I do feel that we have kind of heard the majority of Abba's side. And I kind of want to, because we only have about 25 minutes left, and I wanted to get to the final segment of this entire video. And it's Abba's nemesis, his lifelong enemy. Myron Gangs decided to weigh in on this as well. So let's go to this. You guys have already kind of seen or heard how I think about Abba's whole position here. I do think that the way that he acted was kind of in retaliation to the situation that was going on, that she was unsure about the relationship, and which led to her calling him and telling him that, hey, I want this relationship to end, but I am uncertain about the baby. I actually think I might have the baby and stuff. So all Abba did say was that I would just keep me updated, whatever, like that. But, he was going through a lot of conflict because she didn't want to be with him, but she still wanted to keep the baby, which is a very difficult situation. And it's also a very bad situation for the baby. But then she ended up having the abortion. So now Abba is in this place now where he's like, look, she's going to now try to expose me as some deadbeat that try to leave her, as soon as I had that responsibility. And that's not the case at all. So now that we've heard both sides, we don't have to be like Stevie Knight and take a woman's word. We can actually just kind of look at it that, yeah, there was, yes, there was some stuff that he said that was wrong, but she was the one that kind of initiated the whole thing, So I kind of find more fault on Libby's side than Abba's side. I think that if she was willing to not give up, to not surrender and stuff like that, and still try to stick it out and work through it with him, I'm sure he would have been there to take up his responsibility as the father. So that's how I feel about that. Let's go to Incel Myron's idea and his whole thing about surviving Abba, because I believe before I guess Abba's video was called "What Happened," there was a different thumbnail and it was called "Surviving Abba," and he had like a mean mug face and stuff as the thumbnail, but he changed it now. So, but now let's hear Myron Gaines, because Myron, he basically wanted to chime in on this because Abba is his lifelong enemy. And we'll listen to this to just see his whole perspective, because Myron, we clown him all the time, and he has completely no woman in the background. Like, this is he's just streaming 24/7 in his little studio and stuff, and phoning in on after hours. But as soon as he gets a little bit of dirt on his arch nemesis, he's gonna go ahead and jump on it. So let's listen to this here.
Boy. Well. Oh, well. Ah. Well. Gentlemen, welcome to the fucking stream, baby. I don't pull out the suit often, but when I do, it's typically to call out a piece of shit that's the biggest hypocrite on the fucking internet. Okay? You guys might know him as Abba, Zaba, or Jafar. But what he really is a fucking scumbag that's been lying, talking shit, sitting on his moral high ground for years. He's been on YouTube for like 10 plus years. Right? I have integrity. I am honest. I am above everyone else. I'm above reproach. Well,
which I don't think he said that. He didn't say that he's above reproach. He admitted to faults that he had. He said that he could have handled it better and stuff like that. So this is incorrect by Myron.
Well, well, well. Well, well, well. Well, well, well.
Authentic, most honest, and
their message, because these are the guys that always take the moral high ground. These are the guys that are always very honest, unbiased, nuanced, integrity.
There's something really great about seeing someone be authentic, most honest, and real about this. I'm gonna be telling you the truth like that.
See someone be true to their values. I'll be honest with you. You want to get online and say a bunch of race? I hope those people get canceled. It's not because you're someone who values integrity that you should expect that in everyone else. We are valuing authenticity and honesty and integrity.
Honest.
You know.
So this is basically Myron's way of compiling a bunch of, I guess, hypocrisy of Abba being honest, Abba and Preach being honest, whatever, by saying that, you know, they believe in the truth and all this stuff like that. This is Myron has never really been good at compiling evidence. You know, we saw how he did with the whole Daisy Fit Chen evidence exposure, whatever you will, and also how he tried to expose Abba before. With his, and then also the how he exposed Louis Theroux in his whole Manosphere documentary and stuff, and how he cut out like 3 very informational minutes and stuff that completely changed the whole conversation and stuff, when really that was just like, no, that didn't change anything. Okay. Myron's really bad at presenting facts, as we've all come to know.
Way, honest and true way.
Proof that people are telling the truth. And that to me makes me optimistic about the future.
I mean, honestly, guys, if they're going to lie. So as you guys can see, right? Here's the gist of it. Let's give you guys a summary of what basically went down. Basically, long story short, what happened was Abba was seeing this girl for like 5 months, got her pregnant, right? He's running around with this narrative of like, oh, yo, like I want her to have the kid and all this other stuff. Now, let me be very clear about this with this girl, okay? Because we're going to react to her video here. We got the full 19-minute video here because, you know, we knew that it would go down. So we already got it here. We're ready to go. We're going to go through this thing. Let me be very blunt about this. These chicks are crazy, okay? I have no doubt in my mind that she was gaslighting him. I have no doubt in my mind that she's probably not being 100% transparent. I have no doubt in my mind that she's probably nuts, okay? Let me be clear about that. I have no doubt in my mind about any of that stuff. However, Mr. Accountability over here, who made a huge thing, we're talking about Fresh, when he knocked up an Asian girl.
Fresh over here catching strays from his own podcast partner, man. That's funny.
What does he do? He does the same exact thing with a chick that looks like Sneeko. You know? I find that very, very interesting.
Damn, Sneeko's catching strays as well. God damn.
Because it's like, bruh, all you do is talk shit about other people. You talk shit about them taking L's. You say that you're, you know, I have integrity. I am honest, blah, blah, blah. And let's just be honest here. Like, that whole stream he did was a damage control fest. He knows she's sitting on more evidence. He knows that she could come out with more evidence. So he obviously didn't reveal everything that he has. She's going to probably respond and reveal what she has. And we're just going to see this whole thing go down. But again, let me be explicitly clear about this. Okay? This shit happens all the time. Women lie. They try to trap you. They do bullshit. They gaslight you. They are emotionally erratic. Right? I can't be sitting here telling you guys like, look, you know, the red pill tells you the truth about women and not give Abba the benefit of doubt here when it comes to this woman probably being erratic and nuts, especially when she's pregnant. Okay? I am not doubting the fact that she's nuts. As a matter of fact, I would concede that she probably is nuts. But here's the big difference. Mr. Integrity, Mr. I hold everyone accountable, Mr. I am holier than thou, Mr. I'm on my moral high ground all the time.
Doesn't Myron call himself like this arbiter, or you know, he holds himself as this like arbiter of truth? He's a truth teller and stuff like that. So for him to say that Abba is like Mr. Accountability and all that stuff, like he was accountable in his video, and he did admit some faults and stuff that he was and whatever. So this is kind of like mispicturing the whole thing here.
So I'm gonna go ahead and talk shit about Fresh for getting some Asian girl pregnant. Right? Remember that? Remember that?
We can't forget it, man. We can't forget it at all.
You were doing the same fucking shit with someone that looks like Sneeko, bruh. You basically had sex with Sneeko with a wig. Okay?
Damn, dude. I wonder if Sneeko actually saw this stream, man. He's just like, yo, what the fuck, Myron?
Yes. Shout out to my guy Sneeko, by the way. Now it makes sense why you're so obsessed with him. I always wonder, like, yo, what's this guy's beef with Sneeko, bruh? Now it makes sense. Now it makes sense.
That's
okay?
crazy. Sneeko's supposed to be his friend or whatever. He's like, dude, you fuck Sneeko in a wig, man. That's wild.
So the reason why I'm cooking your dumbass is because of the way that you purport yourself to be. Because you had no problem with attacking Fresh relentlessly for months. You had no problem talking all kinds of shit about him getting an Asian girl pregnant. Remember?
It wasn't just Abba, though, man. Everybody jumped on Fresh, man, because he was playing this part of like this lover boy. Like, I'm going to bring her to meet my mom. I'm going to show her off to all of my family and friends and stuff. And yeah, I'm going to get her a house and stuff so we can get a bigger place so we can raise the baby and stuff. And then he just completely did like a 180 on her, man. He ghosted her for like 4 days, came home and said he didn't want anything to do with her. So like, yeah, they're completely different in that aspect.
I don't want to kill the baby. Right? Meanwhile, you're over here with this Asian chick. Kill the baby. So that's why I'm roasting you. If you were anybody else or whatever, this wouldn't matter. It really wouldn't. I wouldn't care. Dudes get chicks pregnant or girls try to trap niggas all the time, bro. But given who you are, the piece of shit that you are, the fact that you've been talking shit about everybody, trying to act holier than thou, that's why I'm fucking cooking your dumbass. Because you are a big hypocrite. And you know it's kind of funny too. Because I've been saying this for years about your monkey ass. I really have. I've been telling y'all forever. Yo, this guy Alba's a snake. He's not who he says he is. It's a little strange that he always keeps his private life private. Right?
That's actually pretty smart, actually. I mean, if your channel content is not about your relationship and it's just about clowning other people, I mean, it makes sense, you know, but the fact is, Libby felt like she needed to expose Abba for this or whatever. So Abba had to basically, he wanted to get ahead of it. Makes sense.
Me and Fresh have been very transparent. You guys have seen our W's. You guys have seen our L's. We've talked about it. We've been out there. But these two fucking idiots out of Canada do everything in their power to not really let their audience know what they do behind the scenes. And now I can see why. As a guy that's extremely critical of the Red Pill could have saved your dumbass here. You might want to go pick up one of my books, Why Women Deserve Less and Why Women Deserve Even Less. You probably wouldn't have had these issues, honestly. Right? You over here getting trapped by a chick after 5 months of dating. Like, what? That's crazy work.
I mean, what's crazier is having a 2-year relationship with your beard Angie and never sleeping with her, you know, and basically being so into your work that she basically leaves you for some guy that doesn't have any notoriety, any clout, or any money. He's just better than you in every other way, you know, and now you're here trying to kind of spin this narrative that, oh no, she wanted a family and kids and I wasn't ready to give that to her. Well, you know, you weren't really going to give her anything. You weren't going to give her any sex, you know, like, or a normal relationship. You know, you're basically just using her as a cover so that people would stop calling you gay.
And the fact that your facts and circumstances are identical to Fresh?
Damn, man, Fresh can't stop catching strays here.
Makes it even funnier.
As the thing is, like, Fresh he doesn't have like he's not smart enough to like watch everything that Myron does. You know, he probably is just out, not even paying attention. I'm pretty sure Sneeko probably saw this. I'm sure he took offense to that whole like, oh, you just fuck Sneeko in a wig.
Makes it even funnier. And then the cherry on top is that she looks like Sneeko with a wig.
God damn.
But anyway, let's go ahead and go through this thing. Okay? Let's go through a video. I'm going to be very fair. Okay?
It's crazy how like Myron can only look at women and compare them to like their male counterparts, man. It's more breadcrumbs, man, about Myron.
This nigga's a homosexual.
Because I know that she's obviously going to sensationalize stuff because we all know how women are when they're angry and they want revenge. and we'll kind of go through this.
Hi, my name is Libby, and I was a girlfriend of Abba from Abba and Preach. We were together for 5 months.
Get past this since we've seen this multiple times now. We're just going to see what Myron has to say about this whole thing now, just to get to it. Let's go right here. All right.
I'm going to kill the YouTube stream. We're going to go to Kick, guys. Kick.com/MyronGainsX. I want to be able to say this, guys.
Maybe
leftist arguments is what basically Abba made. And it makes sense. He's a Canadian. He's basically a socialist. He lives up in like Montreal or something like that. Super woke, super left. He lets on that he's a centrist when they do their videos, but these guys are progressives. So that might also have been played into it, right? We can only speculate. We don't know, right, where she leans politically or whatever, but we know from what he said that she comes from a Christian family, traditional, blah, blah, blah. So that might be what she's talking about when she says that they have different values, but we'll see.
Especially how Abba handled things emotionally and how he handled things communicatively. As time goes on, during the pregnancy, I still start to feel even more anxious and more nervous. And I think I start to confuse my anxiousness with being with Abba or
when you edit all your content to make yourself come off a certain way. Okay, these guys just started live streaming recently, and they suck at live streaming, by the way. Nobody watches their live streams. But they just started live streaming. For the longest, these guys did pre-recorded videos, edits, jump cuts, etc. And that stuff can make you look like you're far more intelligent than you really are. Okay? Or make you look more stoic. Because you can record and edit the way that you want. You can purport yourself to be whatever you want to be. Right? And this is one of the things that these guys have been able to leverage for a very long time with making their videos.
A little bit a little bit of projection there. I do believe Myron and Fresh, they both kind of market themselves as like relationship gurus when, Fresh pays for box and Myron didn't have his first relationship until 35, So it's like these guys really have no leg to stand on in terms of how to teach men how to deal with women and stuff. It's like they have absolutely no idea, but through their pre-recorded videos, through their short videos and stuff like that, they can really kind of market themselves through their courses and everything to get people to believe that they have a shred of idea on how to deal with women when it's not the case at all, man. It's like they've been exposed through, documentaries, through other people's videos and stuff that they aren't who they say they are. And I think those videos are starting to outpace the ones that are being completely buried, by these guys and their marketing videos.
As he get there, he goes past the point of the threshold of where anger should stop. Abba resorts to name calling and degrading language and
now. Here's the thing. When she said this, I was like, yeah. Because as you guys know, I went back and forth with this idiot on DM saying, yo, we can do a debate, but let's do it in person. And all he did was like just talk shit and give like stupid insults. Oh, you're a pay pig. Oh, you're a loser. You're going to cry some more, blah, blah. So when she said this, I was like, yeah, that's him. And you guys are going to see here with the text messages. When he contacts people via text or whatever, it's not the same guy that you see on camera. And, and I've said this before about a lot of these YouTube motherfuckers, guys. Okay, Andrew Schultz, Abba, Akaash, whatever. These guys show you one person on camera, but they're a completely different person off camera. Okay? And
same with you. I mean, didn't Angie say that you're a completely different person than you are on camera, off camera? Like you're completely different. But that was a narrative that you were trying to squash really quick. You were like, would you mind go cleaning the room and go taking care of the dog and stuff? And yeah. Like he just, it was really bad. So yeah, you got exposed for the same thing too, Myron.
Obviously, their brain dead fans can't tell the difference, right? You got a bunch of simps in their chat coping like, oh yeah, this girl's crazy. Bro, we all know this chick is more than likely crazy. Nobody's saying that. But you guys are missing the elephant in the room that your savior, Anus, has no problem with criticizing people and going after them when they make the same exact mistake using the holier than thou perspective. When he's over here doing the same shit with the same type of bitches, by the way. Like, what? That's what makes it so crazy. He went so hard at Fresh, bro. He went so hard at Fresh for this situation. Meanwhile, he was doing the same fucking shit. Doing the same fucking shit. So again, this woman's credibility could be cooked, whatever. But guess what? The fact that Abba dealt with a woman like this and got her pregnant cooks his credibility too. Mr. Holier Than Thou needs to shut the fuck up forever. I don't want to hear nothing about women. I don't want to hear nothing about you criticizing people. I don't want to hear nothing about you talking about the red pills, bullshit, blah, blah. Your dumb simp ass over here ready to make a family with a chick you've been dating for like 5 months. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Yeah, Myron's like, I would never do that. I would take 2 years and never even stick it in her, man. I don't understand why you're over here having sex with women, man. That's gay. That's really gay. That's pretty much, I mean, this Myron has basically fallen into the same trap that Stevie Knight has. He has basically just listened to her perspective and let his like hatred of Abba basically steer his entire conversation here, where he hasn't heard the other side. Now, granted, I think that when he came out with this video, it was pretty much the same time that Stevie Knight was putting out his video and stuff. He didn't get a chance to hear Abba's side of the story, which, you know, I don't think he would have taken that time anyway to tune in, give them a view. But it just kind of shows you that, yeah, if you truly hate somebody, whatever, any type of dirt that comes out on them, you know, you're gonna jump on it and expose it and stuff, but you gotta kind of listen to the whole story. You know, if you like, you want to give balanced commentary about things and stuff, you kind of need to look at all angles and hear both people's side and then make your opinion from that. So that is all I have for today's video. I do want to thank everybody for watching the video. I know this is kind of a little different, whatever, but I do plan on being extremely busy tonight and tomorrow. So I figured I'd just go ahead and put this out for you guys. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, man. For those of you that are finding me for the first time, my name is Camp Hustle 1. I do these weekly videos. Typically, they're live streams at 11:45 every Saturday night. And we just talk about whatever happened in the week, and I usually bring on the hustlers and stuff. We have a little chit chat. Sometimes I'll bring people on and we can just have like a live conversation. So make sure that you guys like the video, that you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. This is Camp Hustle 1 out.
Hustlers unite every Saturday night. We shine bright, got the spotlight in sight. Live stream flames, haters take flight. Popping in with Hank, keep the vibe airtight.